Okay, we're going to test everything. Okay, we're going to test everything. So far, so good. Test everything. So far, so good. So far, so good. Okay, okay. All right, looks like everything's a go. I think everything's good. Let me know if there's any issues on YouTube. Try it one more time. I think everything's good. Let me know if there's any issues on YouTube. Try it one more time. It looks like everything's a go. All right, looks like everything's a go. It looks like everything's a go. All right, looks like everything's a go. Yep, everything's good. Mute my computer because that's not where I'm streaming. Cool. Welcome to another edition of No Filter. Somebody's in here. I see you peeking from the shadows. It never lets me know. What's going on, Fatal? What's happening? All right, I can do this here. All right, cool. Sugar plum thought. What was I thinking? Anyway, I've invited some people here, but the show must go on regardless. And that's what we intend on doing. So we have 3 topics to talk about. Just to let you know, these 3 topics are pretty interesting. The first topic is about what am I doing here? About Zelda Breath of the Wild versus Horizon. Some interesting conversations actually came about over the last couple of days regarding this game. We have a really avid fan of both. So it's Chris Righteous, if you don't know who he is, and it was myself. Now, he loves Breath of the Wild, and I love Horizon Zero Dawn. The fuck is this? All right, thank you so much for that, Fatal, for sharing. Really appreciate it. What's going on, Hector? that is going to be our first topic is Horizon Zero Dawn versus Breath of the Wild. Yeah, we know that the games next year are coming out. Let me see, Zelda. Take this in here. And we have also, well, we have a lot of stuff coming out next year. And I believe Zelda is going to be another one that's going to come out next year, which is pretty cool. So, yes, Horizon Zero Dawn versus Zelda. Right, that's what we have going on. The second topic is going to be about corporate versus passion. I feel like not enough of this is really talked about in the industry. And shout out to Crypto Ken Dubug. You know him as Crypto Ken. He inspired me to create this topic here, which is the corporate versus passion. We were just kind of talking about, well, yesterday, or was it the day before yesterday? We were talking about some games just feeling very corporate. You know what I mean? And some games having a lot of passion. And it was typically the generation, like two, 3 generations ago, when you felt that passion. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And then the last topic we're going to be talking about here is going to be Nostradamus predictions of 2022. During in the new year, Happy New Year's to everyone that haven't been congratulated by anyone, or not congratulated, but haven't been told this. So I want to tell you this as well. I've been, I don't have a lot of close family, so, I kind of just chill in on that particular holiday. But yeah, we got some pretty cool topics to talk about for Nostradamus. He said some pretty wild stuff that was going to be predicted for, 2022. Pretty scary shit. If anybody want to chime in there to let me know what is some of the stuff that he said in the past, that'll be great. But let's start with these topics here. So I was challenged over the weekend, right? That I need to bring my A game when it comes to comparing Horizon Zero Dawn to Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I told him I have a really interesting conversation, and you would have to be there. I didn't want to have the conversation over the internet. What's going on, Gaming Night? I didn't want to have that conversation over Twitter because it would take away from the show, of course. So I wanted to save all of the stuff that I wanted to actually discuss. Gaming Night, let me know if the audio is bad. Please don't troll me because this shit trips me out, man, when that shit don't work. Just let me know truthfully if it's bad or good. And so I had this conversation with one of my friends, and I talked about this, and I said that, well, Horizon Zero Dawn and Breath of the Wild cannot be compared anyway. I don't even know why the comparison is happening in the first place. And he says, well, I think they can be compared. And I told him, I don't think they can. And he says, why? My reasoning for saying that they cannot be compared is because they are not in the same genre. That is the number one thing that people need to understand about these two games. That's what they need to understand. Horizon Zero Dawn and Breath of the Wild is not in the same genre. So comparing the two is futile. It's completely idiotic to compare the two. Anyway, I know people like to say, well, you can chop down trees and you can climb here or you can climb there. And the feeling of adventure, that's why they call it the Breath of the Wild. You know what I mean? The feeling of adventure is aplenty when it comes to Breath of the Wild. Fine. Okay. And I see you with the 100. I see you with the 100. They can't be compared. And why? Zelda has always been an adventure game. Every single one of them were technically open. Well, not every single one of them. Let me not say that. But most of them, I would say 90% of them were open world games. Even the 2D games on the Super NES and the NES were open world games where you had to explore. They didn't really give you any kind of waypoint or a map. You just kind of knew in a general direction where to go. It was up to you to explore that, right? That's what it was. That's what it was all about. You look at Ocarina of Time. It was about exploration again. You know what I mean? And the puzzles. The definition of an adventure game, let's break this down, right? The definition of an adventure game. Let's take a look here. Ooh, I want that page. I don't want to remove that page. Okay, let's see here. Definition of adventure games. An adventure game is a video game in which the player assumes the role of a protagonist, that's any game basically, in an interactive story driven by exploration or puzzle solving. The genre's focus on story builds it allows it, to draw heavily from other narrative-based media, literature, and film, encompassing a wide variety of literary genres. Now, that's the definition of an adventure game. You're exploring. There's some puzzles that actually is put in your way for you to solve so you can do some more exploration. So, what the hell is Horizon? What is Horizon Zero Dawn? Horizon Zero Dawn is according to the developers, is an action RPG. It's an action RPG. The last time I checked, RPGs cannot be compared to adventure games. They have similarities. They are not the same. So let's take a look to see what an adventure game, what's going on, Jemiah, is exactly. Or RPG. Let's put action RPG. No, not RBG. RPG. An action RPG gives players real-time control over a game character, usually and the most noticeable in regards to movement and combat. The term action gets used, or action RPG gets used more often when speaking about console games. On PC, action RPGs overlap with an older category of hack and slash games. So, what is an RPG? That's kind of convoluting the situation. Action will be in terms of combat, right? I'm gonna come to a crescendo here. Okay, so I'm gonna go here. A role-playing game or RPG is a game in which players assume the roles of characters in a fictional setting. In this particular case, Aloy will be the only main character, which is similar to Zelda, right? In a fictional setting. Players take responsibility of acting out these roles in a narrative, which would be Aloy. You are her. She has a lot of shit to say. And that's how it is. So let me take a look here. A genre of video games where gamers control a fictional character. See, I had it yesterday. See, this is why I got to screenshot my shit. Right. There are several forms of role-playing games. The original form sometimes tabletop games. Okay, we're not talking about that. Damn it to hell. Where the fuck is my shit? And I seen this shit the other day. I guess this. Gosh, let me see here. That's not what I want. There we go. Get the fuck out of here. Defining RPGs is very challenging due to the range of hybrid genres that has RPG elements. Traditional role-playing video games share 5 basic elements: the ability to improve your character over the course of the game by increasing their statistics or levels, a menu-based combat system, which several choices, skills, spells. This is all a part of RPG. Or about a part of Horizon. A central quest that runs throughout the game as a storyline and additional services. You kind of have that in Breath of the Wild. And the ability to interact with elements, environments, storyline through additional abilities, disarmament traps, communication skills, such like that. In essence, what defines an RPG, especially Western RPGs, right, will be the ability to. Let me see here. I'm tripping. My bad. Let me get the fuck out of here. All right. No one's. Oh yeah, somebody did request. My bad. My bad, Jemiah. Cool. So you should be in there. You should be able to talk. Okay, so to sum it up, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I hate when I look at YouTube videos and they're taking up a forever amount of time just to explain something. Zelda Breath of the Wild is an adventure game, right? That's number one. And because of it being an adventure game, it specializes in you exploring and has the puzzle elements. There are no puzzles in Horizon Zero Dawn, or if they, well, excuse me, there is very few. I think I can remember two, and I play that game a lot.
There are puzzles when it comes to unlocking certain doors and shit. You gotta like turn those dials certain ways and shit. And get
but they're not really puzzles though. The only puzzles I would say are the one where you have to unlock the suit. That was the only one that I could say that was an actual puzzle. you turning a knob according to east, west, south, or north. I mean, you're just entering in the input for the door to open. That puzzle that I mentioned for that suit, it required you to do some actual puzzle solving to make that work. And then it wasn't a traditional puzzle, whereas I can't really say. I'm gonna backtrack on the puzzle situation in terms of how intricate a puzzle can be within the video game. But for all intents and purposes, it wasn't a puzzle, not the main shit. And it's not a problem with that. That's the thing that people need to understand. When they play Horizon, or when you compare Horizon to Zelda, since they are not in the same genre, nothing is. I mean, and I know you have some thoughts on that. I'm curious to see where you would go with this, Jemiah. But honest to goodness, they're different. It's okay for it's totally okay for one game to do one thing and another game to do another thing. And Horizon is focused on combat. Its world is focused on combat. You see a lot of videos online where you have Breath of the Wild where you're chopping down trees, which wouldn't make sense in the world of Horizon because there's no puzzles that requires you to use those particular physics. It's most of the shit that you see, 99% of those trees within the game are there for cover. That's what they're there for. They're there for cover. There's some stones and rocks and shit like that you can hide behind, and that's there for cover, but they are breakable. People talk about the grass, you can burn it and shit like that. Fine, you can burn those grass in Horizon. I'm not Horizon in Zelda, and it propagates. Great. You know what I'm saying? So you got situations like that. But here's the thing: there's a snow level. My bad, just simplify it. I play it. Wait, hold on. You just simplified it. RPGs are games. Okay, now I see you in here. My bad. RPGs are games where you can buy weapons, armor, level up your characters while doing things. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. You can chop down trees and rust, so you can compare that to and that's the thing. One is focused on the environment, and the other one is focused on the combat and story. The storyline that's in Horizon takes pole position. Go on, Jemiah, say pause. But when you look at the situation, that's what's going on. You look at they're different games, and they can coexist without one being better than the other. And I hate to sound, in that capacity, but it's the truth. It's the absolute truth. The funny thing is, there's a snow level in Zelda Breath of the Wild, right? And people talk about the grass being chopped down, and you can, basically chop down the trees, but there is no snow deformation in the environment. If you want to talk about physics, there's none of that. You just walk on top of the snow. So we can go toe to toe in terms of physics and shit like that. I know that's a big part of what people like to talk about and how dead the environments feel when it comes to Horizon. Zero Dawn. Jeremiah, what do you have to say about this? I've been talking too much.
You said people said the environment's still dead.
Yes.
Who said that?
Any fanboy for Zelda. They said that it's nothing interactive. You can't interact. You can't climb on anything. You can't chop or damage anything. It's just there as window dressing, and there's nothing to do in the environment. And that's okay, because honestly, it's a fucking RPG.
I mean, like, I get their argument, but like, Horizon is not a game where you need to be chopping down trees and shit. Like, it has to play into the gameplay, the narrative of the story. Also, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's no point of Aloy chopping down a bunch of fucking trees, like when she deals mostly in machine parts and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really even make sense.
People were saying that like the physics system is so good you can combine it to, and it is decent. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things that you can do is that you can cause fire and create an updraft for your glider. Great. That's awesome. You know what I mean? There's no glider in the fucking what do you call it? Are you sick again, Jemiah?
No, I'm coughing. Smoking marijuana, bro.
Oh, I see. There's no hang glider for that to even matter. You know what I'm saying? I know Chris Righteous was throwing rocks and he was trying to get the same kind of physics as it rolls down a hill or something like that. And I'm like, those rocks function as a distraction mechanism. So its physics need to work with the game. So yeah, when you throw it, it's like it's sticking to whatever surface it is. I mean, we clearly know that physics happens within the game because you can break all those hundreds of pieces off of the machines and hundreds of sparks flies all around as well.
You know, like if you kill like a fish in the water, it'll just start to float down the river. You know what I mean? Like,
and that happens too.
Like, I mean, like the physics thing. Okay, Zelda was made to be more interactive. That's the way they designed the game, so that makes sense that the physics are built the way they are. But like that, you can't. It's not a comparative thing. I guess I would say in the end about which one's better or not better. You know what I mean?
That's what. But you keep hearing this shit over and over and over again. You keep hearing this over and over and over again that Zelda is a better game than Horizon when they're not even in the same genre. That's the argument that I have. They're not in the same genre. And people need to understand that. It is cool to compare it to a degree. I don't think that they can be compared. What are you going to compare it to? Like, what can you possibly say in Horizon that is comparable in Zelda? That the fact that there's an open world, there's nothing to explore. Everything is given to you because that's not the focal point. And even if you do explore things, there's no nooks and crannies for you to go into. Everything is just laid the fuck out. And that's just how it is. It's laid out for you. And that's not a problem either, because that's not the direction that they wanted to go. They wanted to focus on the machine combat. That's all they wanted to focus on. And that's fine. You know, but when you hear people saying that the game is trash, Horizon is trash. Okay, so let me backtrack a little bit. Horizon, the combat is the star of the show, right? And the combat for Zelda takes a back seat, essentially, for all of the exploration that you do, for all of the things that you can combine and you can move around and shit like that. It takes a back seat. Fine. The AI is really dumb in Zelda Breath of the Wild. I mean, yeah, they can pick up a weapon if you knock it out the hands, but they're not a challenge at all. You see some crazy things that they do, like they create a fire, do an updraft, and then use the hang glider and stab on them and shit like that. There's things similar to that in the first game that you can do in Horizon, where you can do all those crazy shits. So I don't want to hear it. It's like it's very annoying when people try to compare the two. I'll say this, and I'm gonna see what you have to say about this. I looked at the documentary of Zelda when it was being created, and the first thing that they thought about when they created the game is how the elements, because they're thinking about being out in the wild, could interact with each other. So once they found the world and its purpose for things to interact with each other, then they needed to find a story for it. So the game's purpose is the world first and its systems and everything else second. When they created Horizon, the first thing that they figured out or what they wanted to do is machines roam the world and that you had to take it down. So the entire world came from its story. You know what I mean? And the story for Zelda came from its world. They're completely different philosophies. Completely different. And what do you guys say about that? Have you played Zelda Breath of the Wild?
No, I never played Zelda Breath of the Wild. But like I've seen video on it. Like, listen, like Nintendo bases a lot of their games on systems. You know what I mean? Like it's less to do with story and more to do with how the game actually plays, like the physics and shit, the interactions. This is with Mario. All these games, they're based on that type of system. You know what I mean? Like, right. How much interaction can you get within that game without having a huge, without having a huge story? So I get that you can do a lot of cool shit like burning the grass, but all the mechanics are really simplistic. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like you're just spending more time, like basically interacting with the physics than you're actually trying to enjoy the story or whatever else that the narrative that's trying to being pushed. Like you can
it's barely any narratives. It's barely any narrative in Zelda.
That's what I'm saying. But you can compare it if you want, but like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. Like it's somebody says Zelda Breath of the Wild is better than Horizon. That's just their opinion. Like at the end of the day, like, I'm not gonna put too much stock into this. Like the level of detail, the mechanics, the story, just everything that went into Horizon took way more to do than Zelda. And people like to hype Zelda because it's one of those Nintendo franchises that people just hype no matter what. Like no matter what the game is, they will go buy it. You know what I mean? They'll go celebrate it. So it's not. I think it's not even the same. You can't really even compare these Nintendo games to any other games because the level of time and actual like talent it took to make these games it's on a different level. You know what I
mean? Ken, you can jump in. You saying I'm capping hard as hell? Jump in and plead and plead your case for your game. You saying that what are we doing? Relegating the game to its systems? They're not the same game though. Like, and you're right.
You can look at a game like Gary's Mod, which was a mod made, I think, using
the source,
the Unreal Engine, the whatever engine that fucking Half-Life uses. But
source 2.
Okay, yeah. Because that game had some of the craziest fixes ever. You could go in that game and do all kind of shit with physics and see shit and interact with shit. Does that make that game amazing? I mean, maybe to some people. It's been around for like the last 20 plus years. People have been still playing it. But like to me, a game is more than just mechanics and systems and interactions. That's what we're trying to say. Like, yeah, it's cool. You can do this and you can do that. You can cut down trees, but like at the end of the day, what the fuck am I doing cutting down trees? It's a resource. That's farming to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like my intent is not to run around cut down trees.
Wood. You cut down the tree and it gives you a bundle of wood. So you could, use that, I guess, for arrows. I don't know. I know wood so you can cook things, but you doing survival shit. You eat in the game, you know what I'm saying? And shit like that. Fine. When I spoke to Ken,
that's somehow some groundbreaking shit. Plenty of games make you eat food and shit, and like, okay. Like that's what I'm saying. Like all these systems, people talk about the systems like, yo, you can do this, you can do that, you can do that. What does that all culminate to? Like, what's the fucking point in me cooking and chopping down trees? Like, what is this like farm simulator? Nigga? Like, what are you doing here? Like,
I mean, but that's okay though. If they want that to be in the game, nobody's mad at that being in the game. Nobody's upset about that being in the game. But comparing it to a different genre of a game because they kind of are similar, kind of a little bit, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Not to mention the performance of the game is fucking shit.
The performance is terrible. But that was overlooked because I guess Nintendo's first strives to doing like something modern, you know what I mean? Instead of the shit that they've been doing before, it was like, okay, cool. I explained this before. Like you make hills and valleys and put some trees in that bitch. And then you call that shit like a masterpiece. The people had to do a lot of work to make Horizon work in general. There's a lot of shit going on. More detail per pixel or texture pixel, more details in general. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot. I mean, you can have a cell shaded game, fine, but like, I mean, I hate to break it down to a point where it's like I'm relegating Horizon, or I'm sorry, Zelda, to just like the most basic shit. I don't mean to do that because I don't want to take things away. Yes, you need to eat shit, Jemiah. So for health reasons, for perk reasons, like if you want to be, you know, if you don't want to freeze in the colder environments, you can find some spices and eat that shit, and you'd be able to go in there without the outfits and shit like that. Fine. Okay. You know what I'm saying? All of the systems work into play, but the system is supposed to make the game feel like you're out in the wild. That's its purpose. And what Horizon is doing is for you to use environmental storytelling to see what the fuck happened within the environment. It's only meant for you to look at. It is what it is. And then have machines there as the way to produce obstacles in your environment. You're not solving crazy puzzles. You are upgrading your character. So that's one thing, you know. Very cool. But people like to say that one game is trash, to me, that's a trash argument. And I'm surprised that Chris is not in here because he was capping hard. Is it because he don't want to hear this? Is that what it is? I invited somebody in there as well a couple of days ago. He wanted to kind of have that conversation and see, bring your big A game when it came to comparing the two. And the answer is you can't compare them.
No, I don't think the game should be compared. I mean, I can see why easily both got bows, it's open world. Like on the surface, you can compare any game. Like, or you can be like graphics, performance. You know what I mean? Textures. You can compare certain things in games because it's just universal. You know what I mean? But as far as, like you said, the genre goes and the intent of the games, they're made to do they're made to do two different things as far as what they're trying to do in this game. And I say I don't even want to compare Breath of the Wild to Horizon. I want to compare Horizon 2 to Horizon and Breath of the Wild 1 to Breath of the Wild 2. Because from what we've seen from that trailer, the jump, there's no real I think they're going the same, it's like the same game almost in Breath of the Wild 2. Like I haven't seen any crazy graphical improvements or whatever they're doing. Maybe we'll see more in the future. But as far as the leap goes from 1 to 2, you can compare those two and be like, okay, Breath of the Wild started with these systems. Now, how have they evolved those systems into something else? Like Horizon clearly has taken their shit to the next level. You know what I mean? Like now, Aloy has to go and get her shit made at a workshop at in a town because it's gonna be more complex shit she's doing. You know what I mean? So you're gonna be gathering items off of things you kill and scavenge, and that's gonna play directly into your armor and shit. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, you have to take down these specific machines and you have to go to these specific places that give value to each town that you go to. You know what I'm saying? It was barely any towns in Breath of the Wild, from my understanding.
Fine. And also in Horizon, you had to kill animals and shit to fast travel. You know what I mean? Like basically like an eating system, like how you're gonna be eating and shit, whatever on this long ass trip. You know what I mean? So it's like. There's plenty of things, like there's plenty of mechanics that are similar in the game, but like I don't think just because you can cut down trees or the grass catches on fire, you know what I mean? Like that means the game is better because it has different physics or better physics in your opinion.
It's physics allocated to certain things. Since the game can't do physics the way that Horizon is doing, you can allocate the physics to something else. Let's say that the engine works perfect, right? You have no issues, right? Yeah, it runs perfectly fine. They have to do a whole bunch of shit. The game is just at a higher fidelity across the board. Your character probably has more. Aloy probably has more polygons than the entire environment in that vicinity. That's just what it is. She's more detailed. She has her own systems and stuff like that. But even if you can't help it, I mean, yeah, it's the hardware shit. It is. The Switch hardware is shit, and it is limiting the type of shit that they can do. But at the same time, they made good use out of the limitations and made the game that it is. Now, you mentioned something about the Breath of the Wild 2. And why is there no too much difference? Because here's what here's what people are going to say when it comes out. You didn't need to add anything because it was already perfect. That's what you're going to hear. Hey, Horizon Zero Dawn was so lacking that they could have added a whole bunch of shit. To a degree, that's true. But the closest game that you could actually compare Horizon to is The Witcher. It's the closest game that you can compare it to. That's the most similar out of all of them. And it's funny because you don't see people comparing The Witcher to Breath of the Wild, and I wonder why that is.
Listen, at the end of the day, the games are not comparable. And as far as like the physics go in Horizon, I mean, like a game of that magnitude on that type of console, the physics aren't going to be. It's a technological restraint also. When you have a game that's so simplified like Zelda, of course you can add physics because when you're making a game, you got to do physics, graphics, textures, all this shit takes fucking resources. You know what I mean? You get to choose how much physics you're gonna put into a game. Like in Ghost of Tsushima, are you gonna waste time and waste resources having niggas run into bamboo trees? Like maybe not. It's kind of pointless. You know what I mean? Like you gotta suspend disbelief sometimes when you're playing these games. You also gotta fucking pick how much resources you're gonna spend on what. You know what I mean? Like, could he have made every tree in fucking Ghost of Tsushima fucking cuttable? Yeah, he could have. It would have took away from a lot of other shit. You know what I mean? The game wouldn't have been as expensive as it was, as they're busy fucking putting resources towards trees and shit. But when your game looks like fucking goddamn fucking a paint fucking program and shit, like you do whatever you want. You know what I mean? As far as physics go, like so, it's just I just find it disingenuous. You know what I mean? It's like. Is Zelda better than Horizon? Like, if you think so, then it is. Like, that's the real point of the question. You know what I mean?
Honestly, you're absolutely right. What's going on, Sick? You're absolutely right. If that's what you find, that's great. That's great. But know what you're getting into. The bottom line is this: they are not comparable. They're not. They're not comparable.
Like, you see all the upgrades they did with fucking Horizon Part 2. You know what I mean? Like, they're going so crazy with the new machines. The machines are now like climbing on the trees, all the interactions. Like it's just crazy that you have Breath of the Wild looks like Breath of the Wild. Like it doesn't even look like it's like Breath of the Wild DLC and shit.
Breath of the Wild, but you can't do too much with the hardware, which is unfortunate. That's Nintendo's fault. But
yeah, that's also their restraint. Also, you know what I mean?
Look at the gameplay. So if you focus on the gameplay, what you will find out is that when you explore in that game, it looks like for Part 2, for Breath of the Wild 2, it's not just outwards. It's also up and down. You know what I mean? And then the other thing that I'm noticing is that the combat, we haven't seen too much of it, but it alludes to the combat being a little better and more like the old Zeldas. And that's what they kind of needed to do. But again,
Zelda's always been hack and slash. Like,
well, it's what this one is. It's like, okay, you have pretty stupid AI. I'm sorry, they're dumb. You know what I'm saying? You don't need too much. And then the tools that they give you, you can basically hack the shit away at it and kill them. The bottom line is that it's just not that type of game. You know what I mean? When the Horizon is a combat based game, range combat. And that's most of what they focus on. And the areas is basically window dressing. And I'm saying this as a fan. And that's okay because I was there for the storyline and to kind of see what was going on, what the environment, like what happened back in the day. Hold on, Adam. I see you. I'm gonna get you in there because I'm very curious to see what you have to say about this.
But the thing is, even if you could climb on trees and shit in Horizon, like what would be the point? Like it would serve no purpose other than the fact that you could do it. You know what I mean? Like things also have to serve a purpose. Like you would have to create so many more systems to fucking justify why the hell you're climbing and cutting down trees in Horizon. It would make no goddamn sense. You know what I mean?
The focus was story. That's what the focus was. Adam was good, man.
Hey, how you doing?
Yo, good. Shit, I was starting to think that I was like, oh, he ain't gonna come through. I was like, oh no.
No, I was suspended for 12 hours.
What'd you do?
Somebody was had a well, I don't want to take off topic, but I'll make it short. Someone was having a debate of what system had the best year, and I said PlayStation had the most exclusive content on their system, and somebody was just arguing saying they didn't. So I said, you know what you should do? Stick a Moss Bowl 500 in your mouth and do the Lord's work.
Oh, they're so corny, fucking sensitive. I can't.
Nah,
I get
no,
it. I mean,
I blame myself because I kind of like told him to almost, in so many words, I told him to put a gun in him out and pull the triggers.
yeah, I know. And you thought you were being slick by not using the words.
Yeah, exactly.
But but you can't even
It's
touch
about
it.
intent, nigga. It's not about what you say.
My ass got banned on some bullshit as well, which was annoying as hell. I was like, son of a bitch. It was stupid too. I think I called somebody a bitch. I said something about a female dog or something like that, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna ban you." I was like, "What the fuck ever, man? Ain't nobody care about your ass." Here's the thing, right? I see Chris is in there. Um, I don't even want to say argument, but here's my take on Horizon versus Breath of the Wild. I told you that I did not want to downplay either game because both of their games, and here's their argument, they're different. They're in different genres. You can't compare them. Just because you have a main protagonist with a bow and arrow doesn't mean that it's the same game. If that's the case, compare it to Tomb Raider 2013. If you want to take it there. They have puzzles too. They're not the same genre. One is an action adventure game, and the other one is an action RPG game. It's just not. You can talk about physics and chopping shit down. One is worried about the narrative. Hold on for a minute. Who did that? Oh, here we go, Chris. Okay. One is talking about the narrative and focus deadly on the narrative, dead laser on the narrative. And I'm going to be honest with you. The environment that is in Horizon Zero Dawn is window dressing for the story. When they created Horizon, their intent was to make a great story coming from the machines and why they are there in a post-apocalyptic world. So everything about that game came from that centralized idea. The world looks the way that it looks because of the story. That's what came first. When they made Zelda Breath of the Wild, the first thing that they thought about was the systems out in the wild and how they can interact with each other. So its storyline radiated from that point. They have two completely different ideologies. They're not the same thing. One focuses on exploration. They don't even tell you where to necessarily go. One has nooks and crannies. The other one, you can just walk on everything in the environment. There's nothing really to do other than to see what happened visually before the Earth was reclaimed by the wild. It's environmental storytelling. Just like Shadow of the Colossus. You wonder to yourself when you see these buildings, what the fuck happened? But that's only for the story purpose. The game is a slave to its story. And Zelda is a slave to its environment. Everything comes after the environment in Breath of the Wild, and everything comes after its narrative in Horizon Zero Dawn. But at the core of the situation, one is RPG, and one is an adventure game. What you gotta say about that, Adam?
I concur with you. Only difference is I can only speak of Zelda because I can only speak in good faith in Zelda because that's the only game I primarily beat to the fullest, and I concur with your sentiments. You saying that the game was built around the environment. That's totally true because the whole world in Zelda or Breath of the Wild. I mean, is a is a fucking playground. So each thing you could interact with. So I would say the world is much alive, or you say much more. You can bounce off it more interactive than the previous. I mean the Horizon game, but I think both games played to their strengths, and Breath of the Wild played to their strengths through the world building, and that's what I can say about that.
What about you, Chris?
I agree with that, and I've told people this before, but the issue, right, is the reason why this comparison gets brought up, or why I bring up the comparisons or whatever. Um, well, for the first time, it's because when we saw Forbidden West and we saw some of the things that they were implementing, like more free climbing and now the glider and stuff like that, right? You know, we can all see it's like, oh shit, they've taken some inspiration. They obviously took some not copy, right? But they took some inspiration, right? A little bit of inspiration, right?
You do
From Zelda.
realize that they had that hang glider type situation in the first game, but took it out, right? This is before.
Yeah, but we don't know to what extent that it was used, and we don't know how it was utilized, and it still doesn't negate the fact that they took some type of inspiration in how they're incorporating it. But let me finish. Because I've heard that point before too, right? Which is not that's not a bad thing, right? But for some reason, people get
not saying that it is.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's really not. It's actually I'm Forbidden West. I'm super excited. That's my most anticipated first party title from PlayStation coming next year, right? Um, um, I forgot what I was gonna say. But people seem resistant to that idea, right? And then the second time this conversation came out, which was yesterday or the day before yesterday, I don't remember. Is I said, I was giving Breath of the Wild flowers, right? Because that's my game of generation, right? My personal game, whether people like it or not, I don't give a fuck.
That's how it should be.
Yeah. So I gave it its flowers. I was like, yo, Breath of the Wild, has, and I didn't mention no other game at all. I didn't mention Horizon. I didn't mention whatever, right? And Ghost of Tsushima or nothing, right? I said, yo, Breath of the Wild is a open world adventure game that got a 97 on Metacritic. It sold over 25 million, and to this day in 2021, there has been over 100 new discoveries of attention to detail, physics, and the chemistry that people have been finding in the game, and that's not even an exaggeration. GameStop,
What about
GameSpot.
attention to
Hold on, let me
performance?
finish. Let me finish. But see, there you go. You see, people go straight for shit that is completely irrelevant. But anyways, um, GameStop has made 11 videos just this year in 2021, right? With new discoveries being made in Breath of the Wild, 40 new things you didn't know about Breath of the Wild, 30 new things you didn't know about Breath of the Wild, and so on and so forth. So I put that there and I said, it has the best physics and chemistry engine because look how much shit people are doing with it 5 years fucking later. And these videos are still getting over 1 million views, meaning they're still extremely active and they're still charting on MPDs, right? So when I said that, somebody responded to me and was like, well, the Decima engine, the physics, right? Specifically the physics, right? No, the graphics is one thing, right? Graphics, Horizon Zero Dawn blows that shit out the fucking water, right? Obviously, right? But specifically the physics, right? They were like, the Decima has better physics. And I was like, yo, you're not gonna say something that's factually wrong and incorrect and me not show you these things. So then that's when I showed the comparisons, right? The environments are way more interactive. The weather actually affects you and the different environments and stuff like that, right? And all these other things. So the physics is on a whole new level and stuff like that. And people get mad about that. And then that's when the
But
whole
the thing is,
conversation.
though,
Hold on, let
the
me finish. Let me finish.
bro, you've been going on a 20
Um,
minute tirade.
but I didn't interrupt anybody when they're talking. I let people get their thoughts off. So let me get my thoughts off, right? Right. So then what people they started, well, look at the effects of the tree. It just disappeared. Or look at this, that, and they try to, or look at the frame rates. They try to do all these other things but it doesn't prove my statement wrong. Like, you cannot prove my statement wrong that the game has an insane amount of attention to details when it comes to its physics and its chemistry. Like I said, 5 years later, there's been over 100 new things that people are discovering that people didn't know before. You look at all the comment section, damn, I didn't know this shit. I didn't, and this game's been out for 5 years, right? That's how insane that chemistry and that physics and that even that it's still an ongoing game that is still being discovered. People don't like hearing that shit. Whether you think the game is better or not, I don't care. You could think Horizon Zero Dawn is a much better game. I don't give a fuck. Cool, it's a better game to you. That's fine, right? But if we're gonna observe of which world is more interactive, which I didn't bring it up. I didn't bring it up. Other people started bringing it up, right? Then I'm gonna make my case. I'm gonna do the comparisons, and we can factually observe these things and see which one is way more interactive with this world and its
Now, no,
physics.
I have to cut you off on this one, and the reason why is because now is a whole bunch of people that's in there, so we gotta be mindful of other people's thoughts as well. You said that Horizon was trash. Did I not see that?
No, never, never said that. Never said that in my life. Never said Horizon was trash. I like Horizon. I didn't think it was an amazing game, right? I thought it was a really good 8 out of 10 game, but there was some things like the lack of traversal options, the lack of her being able to, to barely climb anything, and the environments being super static and non-reactive. And I'm not saying you got to cut down trees and shit like that. Let me make one thing clear. I'm not saying that because you can't cut down every tree, then that makes the world, super boring and trash and shit like that. No, that's not what I'm saying. Because like what you said, games cast, they're two totally different games, and they're going for two totally different things. Horizon is not a survival light game like Breath of the Wild is. So I'm not expecting you to, even though it does have resource collecting, right?
But you
And stuff like
comparing the
that, right?
two though. You just compared the two, knowing fully that each game is in a different
But
genre. Is that fair?
why did I compare the two?
But just because somebody brought it up doesn't mean that what you did was correct either.
No, it is, because if you're gonna make a definitive statement, then I'm going to show you the proof for why that statement is not true. If
So
you're gonna say if
if
you're
we're
gonna
talking about
say
truth, if we're talking about truth, the truth is they're not the same game. They're not.
I understand that, and the truth is that the world of Breath of the Wild, right, is more interactive, has more physics than Horizon Zero Dawn, which was people.
We could say the same thing about Minecraft. You can destroy shit. You know what I'm saying? Both
Yeah,
those
but it
games are
doesn't have the amount of attention to details. So that would
oh
that
no,
would
no,
that
oh
would
no,
be
no,
another
no.
false
They
statement.
actually do. So if I
No, it does
do,
not.
well, here's the thing. Let's take a look at survival horror game, a survival game, 7 Days to Die. Each material that they have in there has its own weight and calculations and shit like that. So I can throw that game in there. If you haven't played that one, it's fine.
Okay, and then when
But
people,
but but
okay,
here's the thing.
hold on. So here's the thing.
Hold on. Wait. I
Go ahead,
can't
go ahead,
compare
go
the
ahead.
two. I can't compare those two. They're not even in the same game. What Horizon does is takes its resources in terms of physics,
Hmm.
is it uses it in other places. There are way more articulating parts with the machines. You talk about the grass and chopping the grass down in trees. The snow you can't even deform snow in Breath of the Wild. You just walk on top of it, and the painted footprint comes on. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's not true. If you go into thick snow, it deforms and it affects you.
I've already checked that out, and I don't see it. So if you can find a video, unless they patched it sometime along the way, I didn't see it. So if you can find it, you can send that to me, and I'll be gladly publicly will come out and say that I was incorrect in saying that. I haven't seen it though. Regardless of the matter though, they're not focused on the same thing. So it's just the whole comparison is erroneous. Before you go on, Jemiah Sick, what you have to say about this?
I'm only here because Chris is here.
Yeah, he's only here to troll me. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say that right now. But Chris, I gotta call you on this one, brother. You say you don't care about people's opinions on how they feel or what they think about Breath of the Wild, but every time this topic comes up, you are there and you are very passionate, brother. You do care. You do care.
No, I only care
No,
about the
no,
bullshit that
no.
people say.
You
All right.
do care. You do care. We're not gonna do this. I'm just here to tell you that Breath of the Wild is absolute fucking garbage, man.
I know.
That's it. That's all. That's all. That's all. I ain't got no more to say. That's it.
Jemiah,
No.
what you had to say? You stupid. Jemiah, what you had to say? Were you gonna say so? Jeremiah. All right, he probably indisposed, away from keyboard or some
Jemiah took
The
a smoke
fucking
break.
my phone.
No, he gonna kind of rush in there talking about
My fucking phone screen timed out because
nigga.
Chris was talking for 3 hours and shit. Yo, first of all, this nigga said that he don't care about performance. When? How? How? When?
I didn't say I didn't care about performance. That's not what I said. No, I did not. I said when I start bringing up all these things that Breath of the Wild does, the very first thing people started bringing up is
you said people bring up things that are like,
look at the performance,
and
it's like, bro,
things that are irrelevant or things that don't matter, and performance does matter.
No. To irrelevant to the conversation when we're talking about physics and the attention to details. That's what I'm talking about.
And so if the fucking frame rates and shit aren't right, how can the physics be right and proper? How does that make sense to you?
Bro, come on. First of all, we're not gonna act like Zelda is just running at 18 frames per second the entire goddamn game. A lot of the game is
also okay, you said people find out new shit. You know why? Because nobody played that shit. They ran through that shit, they chopped a couple trees down, and they was like, okay, cool.
So why did it sell over 20? Why is it still charging on MPD?
Why did fucking Animal Crossing sell like 20 million? I don't fucking know. Nintendo niggas are weird.
Because people are playing
niggas are weirdos.
That's what I'm talking about, Gamecast. People say people say these statements that are not true, and I just go out and correct them, and people get mad about that.
Why did it sell?
I will say this.
Why did PUBG sell 30 million plus, and it still fucking got over almost half a million players playing daily? Who gives a fuck? The game is still trash. Like, just because somebody buys something doesn't mean anything. McDonald's sells billions of shitty ass cheeseburgers every year.
But you can't say that nobody's playing the game. That is a false statement. You just said nobody's playing the game. That's
I said that they ran through the game, they chopped a couple trees down, and they beat the game, and they're done with it. That's why people were still discovering shit.
Yeah, he was talking about for the initial
if people really were playing the game, this shit wouldn't be like you found out 1,000 more things about Horizon. I mean, about fucking Zelda.
No, because it's every single year. It's being things
like, if you throw rice in the water, it grows.
2017, from 2018, from 2019, from 2020, and 2021.
And that's fine. So here's the thing.
So
right?
if there was a big gap, if there was like for the past 3 years, nobody found anything, then all of a sudden people started playing it because Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out, and then they're finding shit.
Chris, I get you, but every time I hear about Zelda, it's never about, it was a great story. The combat was crazy. It's always about fucking grass and shit growing and shit. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here, bro?
You're following the wrong people, because I literally just made 2 posts this week talking about the combat of Breath of the Wild and the shit that you can do.
I follow you.
Now, here's the thing, right? Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, I'm gonna interject there because I'm gonna ask Puka and see what he have to say about that after this, and then I'm gonna go on to this corporate versus passion thing, because that's gonna tie into this Horizon.
And I hope y'all play the game. I hope y'all not talking about Zelda without playing it.
Okay. I'm a gamer, so I have to play. I'm making my business to play shit. Either way, the AI in Breath of the Wild has very poor path finding. Very poor.
No, I disagree.
No, there's videos on that. And I actually experienced it myself when I played it. Now, the routines for
dumbass robots in Horizon.
But here's the thing: you can't. This whataboutism. Okay, fine, but take the L where it belongs. You say and there, but you said and. Okay, so fine. So you don't just. So I'm
Wait, 1 second. But Chris, every time somebody says something about Zelda, you say something about Horizon, and nothing's being said about Horizon.
Because the conversation is about Horizon versus.
I mentioned.
But why?
Look at what's the title of the
Nobody was saying anything about her. No. Nobody was saying anything about Horizon. He was literally telling you about something in Breath of the Wild, and you immediately resorted to say, Horizon 2.
Okay, because the space is Horizon versus Breath of the Wild. So there's the comparison is gonna come up.
The whole
That's what the
point of the
conversation is
space
about.
was though is to say that they can't be compared, not that they are comparable.
No,
Yeah.
they can be
No,
compared.
no,
It's not. It's a
I,
stupid comparison, but they can be compared.
I mean, any
yes, I
like you
agree.
said,
It's a stupid
Jeremiah,
comparison.
like you said, Jeremiah, earlier, you can compare anything on a rudimentary level or a very simplistic level. Fine, you can compare it, but it is very stupid to compare them. The very fact that somebody compared them and then you came back and said that, listen, you could do this, this, and this, they can't be compared.
Okay, then. So stop
That's
trying to
like
compare
saying
them.
that's like no,
You
I'm not
have the
I'm
space.
no, my space
Horizon
was
versus Breath of the
my
Wild.
space. Hold on, my space was only to use that title to say they cannot be compared. That was the purpose. They can't be compared. That's like saying, how come I can't drive in Tetris? That game is shit. Like this, it doesn't make sense. Just because they're games, you can move
Nah,
shit around.
I think Horizon and Zelda is a closer comparison than like I don't know Forza and fucking Tetris.
But here's the thing. I mean, I'm being hyperbolic here, but here's the thing, right? Zelda is very similar, right? You got a lot of noise in there, sick. Zelda is very similar. Zelda is very similar to what do you call it? Is Puka here? Did he leave? My bad, Puka. I'm sorry. All right, there's just people in there. Oh, he's still in there. Here's the thing. Zelda is close. Okay, the closest comparison to Horizon is not Zelda. It's The Witcher. And I'm curious because a lot of people say that The Witcher is better than Horizon, which is fine because they're in the same genre. You can match things 1-to-1. But how come people are not comparing The Witcher to Zelda? What's up with that? But you can do more in The Witcher. There's always this comparison between first parties. It's fucking annoying.
Well, I think it's because
you can't do more in The Witcher than Zelda.
Zelda and Horizon came out at the same time. That's why.
You said that you can do more in The Witcher?
I said you. What are you talking about more? Like more of what? Like what? Like you can do more things in The Witcher in terms of what?
You have ranged attacks, right?
Who has ranged attacks?
Geralt from The Witcher.
Barely. Like
doesn't matter. It's still there. It's still there. It's still there. I know, but it's still there. It's still there. You also have the spells. You also have the exploration stuff that they have there. The side quests are a lot more complicated. I think he can swim underwater as well. He can ride boats. It's a more robust game than Horizon, and no one seems to make that distinction or connection between what do you call it?
There's more variation.
Don't get Chris started that he can fucking
in Horizon, bro.
The apples.
You talking about? I said closely.
No. As a person who's played The Witcher 3 and Horizon, there's way more variation of shit in Horizon than there is in The Witcher.
What do you mean by that, though?
A lot of the enemies that you're fighting.
Oh, enemies. Okay, you talking about? I mean overall. I mean like a blanketed amount of activities. That's what I mean. Not the combat.
No. I'm not talking about that though. I'm not talking about the combat. I'm just talking about like the side quests that you do. You end up fighting the same fucking bosses like fucking over and over and over again. Don't get me wrong, Witcher has a great story. I think that's literally the only thing that kept me engaged with The Witcher. If it wasn't for that story,
the combat is mediocre. The combat
is mediocre. But let me ask you a question. With the AI doing what they're doing, because there's some light stealth elements to Breath of the Wild. But I've seen people, let me burn some grass and then let me use this hang glider to get an updraft and I'm gonna stab him in his throat and shit like that. The AI can't even handle any of those repertoires. It doesn't. If I made a fighting game and the only thing that my fighting game has is just one punch, just a forward punch, and I can do all these combos, like you have to have something to contrast the shit that you can do. Yeah, you could do a whole bunch of crazy shit. You know, I can break dance on the enemy and all the other stuff, but at the same time, the AI cannot.
Contrast have you fought apples float in the water, Goldie? That's what niggas be saying. Like it's like it makes no sense the shit they be breaking up why the game is good and shit. Like, come on,
did you play the game, Jamal?
No, I didn't play the shit.
Oh, okay. So you
I have,
so you can't talk
I
about
have
the
played
game,
it. I
Jermaine.
have played it. And you can break the game with the
Bro,
fucking story.
first of all, I don't need to play the game. I'm not saying that it's good or bad. All I'm
Nah, nah,
saying
nah, nah,
is,
nah, nah, nah.
from what, no,
We're
no,
not
no,
gonna
no,
do
no,
that.
no.
We're not gonna
We
do
are
that.
gonna, we are gonna do this, bro.
No.
Like,
Play the
no.
game first, and then talk to me.
So for fucking what? What is that gonna do to me? Like for
Because
fucking
because
what, bro? What?
because
I'll say I gotta go press square to hit trees. What is that? What the fuck is that? What does that do?
what the hell, Square?
Talk
What the fuck are you talking about?
whatever fucking button Nintendo has, nigga. I gotta hit fucking the buttons. Like what's the point of me going to punch trees and shit? How does that make me? Okay, now I play the game. Now I can talk about how I like to punch trees. That makes no sense to me. From what you guys explain about the game, it's never about the story, never about anything. It's always about how fucking physics work and how trees and
Bro,
shit, and you can climb mountains.
What are you talking about? Who do you
Bro,
talk to that doesn't talk about the story? That's what
they
I'm saying. Like,
always
who are these people?
nobody talks about the
You're not
story. Nobody talks
talking
about the story, bro. You talk
bro.
about
I
how you can
literally
climb
just
mountains
had a
and shit.
space. I literally just had a space yesterday breaking down the
Chris, you're
story
the only one because you're fucking fanatical about this game, bro.
no, it ain't me the only one. It's the people you follow, you paying attention to.
I guess
Right?
because
Hold
all
on,
I hear about is how you
And what the
climb
fuck? Hold
mountains and
on.
shit, nigga.
And what the hell is this? People tagging me talking about prove my statement wrong. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
Well, I don't know anything about that. Hold on. Puka, what you have to say about that before we move on? Yeah, you there, Puka? All right, I'm gonna say my little piece or whatever the case is. Whenever you're ready, you can just hop in there. Obviously, like I don't hear too much about the story. There's a lot of connections to the other Zeldas because they have a long lineage of, games. But this is the first in the series or whatever the case is. But like at its core, it's not as it wouldn't be per game. Like if you just take this game and just isolate it in the capsule versus Horizon, there's a lot of shit going on in Horizon that beats it. Not that much shit going on. I mean, I get it.
Sure. That's fine. That's fine. If you want to say the story, sure, I'll give you that, right? The story, there's more story and stuff like that, right? That doesn't mean that Zelda doesn't have his own compelling story as well. I mean,
I never said that.
I'm not
that.
saying that you say
and
that.
That's nice.
But there's people making statements that nobody talks about the story or nobody cares about the story. That's not true.
I thought you said you don't. But I thought you said you don't care about what people say.
Yo,
bro, come on, man. You know what I'm talking about, man.
Show me.
I know. I get what you're saying. You don't understand, Chris. How many attacks?
IGN literally just did a video this year.
This nigga said IGN
saying because you said nobody is right. Okay,
nigga, listen, their publication.
Okay, so if it's nobody, okay, break it down. Handicap the conversation of what I have to show you. Go ahead.
No, bring up IGN. Okay, cool.
IGN said that. What I'm just saying, they made a video this year talking about how sad the story is in Breath of the Wild, right? Which goes against that narrative that nobody's fucking talking about this goddamn story.
So just to be clear, Chris, Metacritic determines games are good, right?
No.
But you just brought up the Metacritic score, though, Chris. You said Breath of the Wild is a 97 on Metacritic.
Right.
Why is that a point that you would make if Metacritic doesn't matter?
Because I'm saying that to let people know how critically received it was.
But it doesn't matter, though.
So if the game is critically received, well, then that makes the game good, then. Right?
Because it's critically received by both players, by both
reviewers
and users.
So you got 100 random people determining what games are good or not.
Wait. So if a game gets a high Metacritic score, that automatically makes it a good game because critics said so.
Oh my
right?
God. Come on, man.
I'm not trying to mince your words. I just want to understand. Because I'm never bringing up Metacritic when talking about a game ever in life.
That's cool. That's you.
But I want to know, why is that a metric that you're using if that doesn't say that this game is a great game?
That was one of the things that I brought up, and I brought up like 5 different things after that.
So you also said that it sold 25 million.
Yeah, because people fuck with it.
Right. So I mean, that means like everybody fuck with Tetris and everybody fuck with Minecraft too, because it sold a lot, right?
PUBG sold more than Zelda, so I guess it's a better game.
Wait. And everybody fuck with PUBG too, so that makes it a great game too, because a lot of people bought it, right?
A lot of people fucked with it because they bought it. They played it.
Everybody buy Call of Duty every year, 30, like at least 30 million a year. That
Yeah.
makes Call of Duty good, then, right?
Ask Persona and J Barry about that.
But they're not here. I'm talking about for you.
Yeah, I mean, I can only ask you this question. I
I don't
mean,
play
come on,
Call of
Chris.
Duty, so I can't speak on Call of Duty.
I mean, but you don't have to speak on it. It sold 30 million, so that should tell you people fuck with it, right?
Yeah, people fuck with it. People fuck with
I'm
So
Call
gonna
of
that means
Duty.
that means that it's a good game because people fuck with it.
It
I'm gonna
has
say
to be if a lot of people are buying it every
I'm
year.
gonna I'm gonna say this,
Oh,
right?
actually,
No, that doesn't
Persona
mean
is
that.
here. Just to be clear, Persona is here.
A Persona? Where is he at?
Yeah,
Oh,
he's there.
there he is. Oh, there you go. Somebody requested it. Do what you
So
do.
so so Metacritic scores coupled with sales, coupled with what was the other metric, Chris? I just want to have this.
People, finding and continue to play the game in 2021, making new discoveries and stuff like that. Yeah, a lot of people are
I
still
mean,
fucking with the
but
game.
people are still playing NES games today.
That's fine, and so bring up those NES games and use those same metrics. I'm talking like, why is it an issue if I use that with Zelda? Like, I
It's
don't
an
It's
issue.
not.
understand.
It's an
Like,
issue.
No,
It's
no,
an
no, no, no,
issue
no.
when
Hold on. Let me be clear. None of this is an issue. I'm gonna be real with you.
so so people taking an issue with it.
I honestly don't give a fuck about none of this shit. I'm only here to fuck with you, Chris. That's
I
it.
know.
I'm gonna ask you this, Chris. Thrash, what you guys say? What you guys say? I'm gonna say this, right, Chris?
This nigga
What
about
are
to say he was eating a churro on the toilet playing Zelda, nigga. It's the greatest. Nintendo's the
yeah,
greatest.
it's
I
very
just
most
told you
likely.
what the rest is. That's it.
Hey, what's up? What's up? Y'all niggas call me?
What's going on? What's going on?
My bad. I had to pause my game of Zelda Breath of the Wild, best game ever fucking created. I had to
Can't do it.
So
I can't do
man.
it. Can't do it.
It's fucked
Nope.
up. Y'all crazy, man.
Nope.
These niggas can't describe why this game is the best. The reason why this game is the best is because Zelda is a legendary franchise, right? But
Halo's a legendary franchise
they
too.
not they did they who Halo is? Yeah, it is. You can say that.
Uh,
But
that's a metric.
oh yeah, no. I
You just said legendary, so
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going off of legendary. Go ahead.
they both legendary franchises, and they both got flipped upside down, and one landed better than the other. You know what I'm saying? To where Zelda was never an open world game, and they took everything about Zelda and made it into an adventure simulator. That's more of an adventure
It
simulator.
wasn't actually though. Well, hold on.
Well,
Let me. No, it was an open
technically,
world game.
Zelda was kind of an open world game.
It
Well,
always
the
has
first
been.
game, whether
A
hold on.
Point of time was like an open world game, but it
No,
wasn't like
no, no, no,
this.
no. I'm going back even further than that. I'm going back
no,
to
no,
like
no.
the
The
Nintendo
first
version of the
no,
game.
no, no. Hold on, hold on. The first hold on. The first Zelda game was a full open world game, but after that, and then when it went to 3D or whatever, it was linear games.
Right. Well, look, I'm saying like this, my nigga. This is the first Zelda where you had to fucking hunt for everything. You had to grow shit. You had to cut down trees. Like literally everything you had to do, you had to manage. It was like an adventure
So it was a
simulator.
chore simulator then.
It was no, it was an adventure simulator. I mean, you had to get strong enough to climb to get to this next point. You had to, different items that
Uh
you
huh.
found. If you want to get struck down by a lightning storm, or if you want to be in a hot space, you have to make something to make it to where you can resist that. You know what I'm saying? It was.
So when you want to make a fire, you had to cut down wood, right?
I'm not sure. I don't think I ever made a fire, my nigga. I had my nigga like withstanding
Well,
the
there's
motherfucking
various
night.
ways. If you get a flame sword, if you get fire arrows, you can start.
I
If
mean,
the chili
if you
peppers,
go to a
you can start fire with anything.
yeah, if you go to the desert, you're gonna need something, and you have to walk across the desert. You're gonna need a potion to help you walk across the desert, or you're gonna be losing life from the heat. So you would have to get the ingredients to make that shit. It was an adventure simulator, bro. It was the first adventure simulator to where you literally had to manage everything like you were truly on an adventure, but in Zelda form. So you had the mythos of Zelda, all the different races, all the different biomes. I mean, if we're gonna put Halo Infinite and put it next to Zelda as far as legendary, that switched it up. What it, Halo only made one level. They still managed to do an open world game on a fucking weak ass platform that had all fucking weather forms in that open world. Everything from rain to snow to heat to lava to regular dense forests and shit. So they did a lot Zelda deserves to be put up on that pedestal of, at least Breath of the Wild, especially because they changed what the dynamic of Zelda was, and they basically pioneered what people can do with RPGs in the open world. That's what
They
Well,
pioneered.
my
they
argument, my
pioneered it.
argument.
No, wait,
They
wait, wait.
pioneered it.
Hold on.
They pioneered it.
I need you to expound on that real quick. So, are you saying before Zelda, games weren't making you manager your
No,
shit?
no, no. I'm not saying
Games
that.
weren't making you make fires.
Not,
Wasn't making you cook your own food. So,
no, I'm not
what did
saying
Zelda
that.
pioneer exactly?
Zelda took them and put them all together. All of them shits. They took them and they put everything together. They looked at every aspect of the adventure that Zelda had to take. They started you off in your underwear, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? And you start off with a stick, and then you move up. Like you go and you like even the legendary weapons are breakable. I mean, they made it to where and that's how it would be on a real adventure in real life. These
No, it
these
wouldn't.
weapons, you would have weapons that would break. Like there was such
No,
thing as a weapon that you're using constantly that you're
Nigga, there are
unaware.
Japanese
nigga.
swords still from the Edo period in
No,
museums
no,
right
no,
now.
no,
No,
no, no, no.
they weren't
In
used.
real
They were just
life,
sitting there, my
none of
nigga.
them
Like
fucking weapons would
if
exist
you wanted a
except for
weapon
that
to
wooden
last
sword.
forever, then you wouldn't use it. You know what I'm saying? Until you got some kind of healing form or some kind of fixing the shit. Shit was breaking, especially the weapons that you had in Zelda. You had fucking wooden clubs and wooden spears and all that. That shit's gonna fucking break. It breaks, and I don't like it.
Hold
I
on.
don't like the breaking mechanic. I don't. I truly don't.
What is Link? Link is an elf, right? That nigga's like an elf.
I don't know what the fuck he is. He's
That
something.
nigga's
I
an
Link,
guess.
elf. Look at that
Nah,
nigga.
he's not an elf.
Look
He's
him
a
up.
Link,
He's an elf.
Hyrulean.
Link is a god.
Yeah, that nigga's an elf.
He's
Link
a
He's an
is
elf.
Hyrulean,
Link,
not an elf.
Link
Hold on.
is
Wait.
That
Hold on.
nigga
Let me
is
say
an
this.
elf.
Let me say this, Chris. I want to ask you this so I can move on to the next topic. You're you're an avid fan of this game, right? You love this game. You think it's the best game of the generation. Fine, cool.
Was it?
But
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
if you are a fan of it, you are also you should also be able to um, talk about the flaws of the game as
Which
It
I
doesn't
passion.
have any
Hold
flaws.
on,
It's
which I
wait.
perfect,
have
nigga.
As
before.
hold on,
I have
wait.
before.
I
Go ahead.
haven't experienced that, so I don't know. And that's what I'm about to ask you. You should be
It's
able to be
perfection
just.
incarnate, bro. It's perfection. That's what you missing, bro. It's perfection.
I'm
Tell
going
him,
to
Chris.
say this: if you're a fan of the game, like I'm a fan of Horizon, and I can tell you every fucking thing that's wrong with the game, but I want to clear this up, just like you are passionate about clearing things up about your favorite game. Let me tell you about this, right? 90 90% of the trees that's in the environment in Horizon are destructible, right? Any of the environments or props of rocks and shit like that are destructible and can damage you and or the machines. That's one thing. Yeah, you're taking a stick and trying to cut down a tree. So when you see those videos online where you're trying to cut down a fucking tree with a fucking stick, a blunt object, why would that make sense? But I will say this: the machines can clear that whole fucking forest out, and they've done that shit. If you played enough of that game, you would know that, right? You mentioned about the fucking rain and how it puddles collect and how they dry up. That's the same shit that happens in Horizon. You can go into the first area, allow it to rain, you'll see the puddles, and then you'll see that shit evaporate over time. You can even see the water tension when it's windy. The reflections and everything else will actually there. My point is, right, different things, right? But my question to you would be this: what are the flaws of Breath of the Wild that you can say real quick?
Sure. For me, I think that the weapon breaking system needs to be more overhauled because in the beginning it was a little bit annoying. Having your shit break. I don't mind it because like what King Thrash said. It adds another layer of survivability, management, and stuff like that. Just like a survival horror game, you have scarce ammo, right? So you got to pick and choose when to use the ammo, how to conserve it, conserve your health, right, and all of that other stuff, right? Cool, right? So I don't want that to go away, but it does need to be not as
Often.
as annoying as it is in the beginning of the game. Later on in the game, once you're an experienced player, you don't have that issue. You're not just all your weapons are just being utilized and breaking and shit like that. No, because you're being smart with this shit, right? So that's one thing. Another thing is The dungeons could have been a little bit more bigger and a little bit more robust in how the design and how you go through them, as far as the divine beast compared to the older games and the older dungeons and whatnot, right? And then if you want to throw in some performance issues, yeah, those areas where the shit chugged and blah 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 because of the Switch is weak.
Oh wait,
And
wait, 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 wait,
whatnot,
wait, wait,
right?
wait, wait, wait. You can't just blah clean across that shit. Now you want high step? How you? Wait a minute.
Hey man,
Blah blah blah.
throw him
You
out.
want to
Hold
as a
on.
clip
Are
note?
y'all really gonna harp on that?
Throw him
No,
out.
they
Yes.
better not.
That's
They
the
better
shit
not
you
harp
choose
on
to
it
harp on that?
because Horizon Zero Dawn last I checked had the same kind of problems.
No, it didn't.
When?
Yeah, it
No,
did.
it didn't.
Yeah,
No,
Wait,
it
dude.
who
didn't.
Come
said
on.
that?
It had a
No,
graphical
no,
mode.
no, no,
It
no,
had a
no, it
graphical
did
mode and
not.
it had a frames per second mode. And if you went graphical, then you had some fucking frame drops, especially when you was fighting those awesome ass dragons, nigga, or talking to one of those black dudes with a fucking perm while your fucking hair is
Look,
fucking.
he's trolling. Don't mind.
Nah,
No, he's
No,
trolling.
nah,
No,
brother.
nigga.
Nah, brother.
I mean, we shouldn't even be talking. I mean, we got two open world games, one on the Switch, one on the PlayStation. One is on a more powerful console. One you can play on your fucking toilet, my nigga. Are you playing Aloy on your toilet, huh? Are you using the
Yes,
fucking
yes,
Fury
Yes,
or not?
bro.
yes,
You're
Bro,
yes,
fucking
Yes,
not.
yes,
You're
yes,
fucking not.
yes.
games get ruined over performance issues, but on the Switch, it's just whatever because the Switch is weak. That's
No,
always
no, 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 no,
bullshit.
no. It's
I
not. It's
hate
not.
that
No, it's
argument. No, it
bullshit.
is
Hey,
bullshit.
you know why? I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why it's not bullshit. Because Nintendo never came out and said it was anything about that. That console, it has nothing to do with any of that shit y'all talking about. PlayStation and
So what?
Xbox,
So
that's
it
what they
doesn't matter then.
Hey,
It
hey,
doesn't
Well,
matter,
PlayStation.
bro.
Hey,
no console
hold on.
comes out
PlayStation
saying
5
that
and
that game
Xbox
is gonna
Series X.
run like shit.
PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X got 8K on the fucking box, nigga. What are we doing? Playing the tourist? Like, don't fucking play with me, bro. We should expect every game to be fucking 8K then, nigga, if we gonna do that to Nintendo. Fuck that.
No,
Then
what I'm saying is it
Wait,
has to matter to some degree. It can't not matter at all.
games
What are
that
you
it's
talking
on the
about?
box. It's on the box.
No, get the
That's
fuck
what
out of here,
that's what
Hell
they
man.
no,
mean.
that's a false
What's going
equivalency,
on,
bruh.
Lay? What's going on, Lay? I
That
see
is
you in
a
here.
false equivalence. That man said they
These
put
Xbox
8K on
niggas
the
don't know how to
box,
do
so
this
every
shit.
game
These
gotta
Xbox niggas don't know how
be.
to talk
Don't pay up no damn mind, yo. My sharing gone see right through that bullshit, yo. No, get the fuck out of here with this shit.
Is it bullshit that Sony put 8K on the box?
We're to talk about PS4 though.
Okay.
Where was 8K? Where was 8K ever written on
okay.
that box?
Okay, where is my video? Where's my video gameplay? My video conferencing gameplay that Shuhei Yoshida showed on the debut of PS4. They had Shuhei on the couch and there was some white bitch looking at him play Killzone. Nigga, where that feature go?
That was
But none of this
what?
has
What are we
anything
talking
to
about? A
do with
game?
Zelda running like
I'm just,
trash, dog.
no, I mean
Not a
I'm
Zelda.
gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you right now, Chris. When I was I was in that rainy ass fucking area, and I was trying to aim, and I couldn't. I was like, "Come on, man!" I tried to use the motion controls. This shit was all over the place.
Why are you using the motion controls?
I was trying to do anything possible to aim. I tried the analog stick. That didn't work. I was like, let me just do the.
Wait, hold on.
You can't
That
blame
sounds like a
Zelda for your lack
personal
of
issue,
aiming
bro.
abilities. My nigga.
Yeah,
No,
that sounds like a you problem, dog.
no. The problem was the game dropped to 15 frames a second, yo, and it was inconsistent. So every time I would just overshoot everywhere else was fine. But that he know what I'm talking about. Chris, he know that area. He know that area intimately. That's why he skipped, and jumped over that shit, yo. He was like, yeah, I'm afraid, whatever. Anyway, ain't nothing wrong with it.
Nah, that was my point earlier. Though we all know that, like, we're not going to get 4K gaming. We're not going to get like locked anything on a console that doubles as a portable machine. We know we've been.
So nothing matters then, right?
No, what do you mean? The game matters, man. What do you mean? This isn't PC to where we're worried about mouse and air blowing.
But yeah, how you just gotta make the whole Nintendo Switch exempt from performance issues? Come on, bro.
PC niggas have the worst performance issues, but say the most
What's
shit.
going on, Candarian?
When do PC niggas have the worst performance issues? When?
Okay, nigga. Okay. So your 2090 is running every game at fucking 4K 60.
Not new games that came out. Like,
No.
Time the fuck out. Time out real quick. Look. I got a 2080. First of all, I got a 2080 Ti, right? It's a gen behind. Of course, it's not gonna run newer games at the fucking best fidelity.
What do you mean? Nigga, how much you pay for that shit? How many switches did you have to sacrifice to get that one chip?
I
Nigga,
bought this shit before the Switch even existed, nigga. What are you talking about?
exactly, nigga, and it still costed more than the Switch, right? And it still do.
And I
Nigga,
can run fucking the Nintendo Switch games on that shit better than the
hey,
Switch. What are
hey,
you talking about?
how many PC games are we comparing to motherfucking Breath of the Wild? Nigga, how many
How many how many third party games are you comparing to Breath of the Wild? All of them. Fuck off, nigga. There are no PC games, nigga. Every PC game is third party. I'm sick of this whole PC game shit. Third party developers
It's
make
not Breath
PC
of the
games. End of
Wild's fault.
story, nigga. Come on,
It's
Thrash. I ain't
Breath
these
of the
Xbox
Wild's
niggas,
fault.
Thrash, bro. You ain't
It's
gotta
the
come over here and sug me, nigga.
let
Yo.
me ask you a question. Let me ask y'all niggas a question. Nigga,
How
how
many
many
third
games?
party games are better than Breath of the Wild? All of them, nigga.
None.
All of them.
Let me
All of
ask you a
them. That
question.
game is trash. I don't give a
Hey,
fuck.
let me ask y'all a question real quick though. How many games are being compared and like as the bar, used as the bar between Horizon and Breath of the Wild and The Witcher? Which game gets used the most as the bar?
The Witcher.
You don't fucking lie.
The
I
Witcher.
feel
What
like
bar is
nigga,
Zelda
The Witcher.
raising?
I feel like Uncle
What bar
Smarty
is
from the
Zelda
Eminem
raising?
Fox contract,
The
nigga. Get
Witcher.
the fuck is
Listen,
wrong with you?
listen, man. See, that's the bullshit, dog. That is the bullshit right there. They comparing Zelda to every fucking game every fucking game that comes out is stupid. It is fucking stupid.
Big
I can't
time.
even believe you using that one, Thrash. That shit is
Hey,
fucking
Hold on, no,
it's
no,
the
no,
stupid,
no.
bar.
Hold
dog.
on.
It's
No.
the bar.
Hold on. No, because every game that comes out, right? Every game that comes out, you always hear people say, "Damn, this shit looks like Breath of the Wild," or "This shit," you know what I mean? Ghost of
If the
Tsushima, all that
game
shit
is
looks like
cell
Breath of the
shaded,
Wild.
they say it looks like
They,
Breath
they
of the
should,
Wild,
you
bruh.
know what I mean? If a
Come on,
game is
Chris, you
looking,
know better than that, dog.
yeah, but then you could clearly see, right? You can
No, you.
clearly
I'm sorry,
see
How?
Chris. I'm sorry,
the
Chris.
influence,
Hold
right?
on,
Like
wait.
Genshin
If you want to talk
Impact,
about, wait, hold
Forbidden
on. If you want to
West.
talk, look, I get it, but here's the thing, right? And Shadow of the Colossus, you had that same that fucking glider in there. You had that leaf in the old fucking
Bro,
Zelda. It is. I'm gonna
right.
tell you right. I'm gonna tell you. Hold on. I'm gonna tell
Hey,
you right
Breath
now.
of the Wild is copying off that mother. Forza Forbidden West is copying off Breath of the Wild with the fucking glider, my nigga. I'm
No, I'm
sorry.
not going to go. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go
How?
there because I'm going to tell you right now. They already had that shit in play. And even if it wasn't, there's so
It
many
was.
games. There's so many games before Breath of the
Not the
Wild that had
glider.
that fucking glide and shit. They
Listen,
ain't the only one.
listen. It's the same exact graphical font. They just put some electrical shit around that shit. You can look at it and see the same patterns that's on that napkin that nigga
Go
Zelda
to
did.
Shadow of the Colossus and look at that shit. Shadow of the Colossus, which was released. What year was that fucking shit released?
Wait. If that's the case, then why not? Why are we not comparing all shooters to fucking Doom and fucking Wolfenstein, bruh?
Because
And I
Doom and
and I oop
Wolfenstein
and I
is
oop.
boo-boo in comparison to better games. It had the
What?
bar, but that bar
No,
got
no, no.
surpassed.
Hell no.
Zelda
Hell
never got
no.
surpassed on the
They
bar
did it
level.
first. They did it first. So any other fucking first person shooter that comes after it copied it. That's what y'all telling us about Zelda.
No, we're saying Zelda perfected it. You know what I'm
Bro,
saying?
they
They
No,
used
they
didn't
every
didn't.
perfect it.
They
They
did
just
it.
threw it in the
They did it.
game.
jeez.
They did. They
They
just put it in the
Zelda made
game.
it
It ain't
useful
no
as fuck.
perfected.
They knew
They
they
ain't
had an
perfect
open world
shit.
game.
The game
That's why they
look
made
like
every.
shit. The game runs like shit. But all y'all
Uh,
gonna tell us about is the fucking physics in the fucking game and
yeah, yeah,
the fact that the
because
nigga could do the Spider
Let
Man
the
and
hate
climb
out.
up a mountain, get up
Let
to
the
the
hate
top of
out.
the
Go ahead.
mountain, and see a big ass fucking roof on the mountain, dog. That's what y'all telling us.
yeah,
That is the
we know
emptiest
in the
fucking
like shit.
open world on planet Earth, but y'all ain't saying shit about that. The deadest
Bro,
fucking open world on planet fucking Earth, but y'all ain't saying shit about
Who?
that.
Wait, what
Zelda
game?
ain't perfect shit. It's just a whole bunch of dick riding ass journalists that fucking push that fucking game, dog. That's
Yup.
Hey,
what the
Facts,
fuck
facts,
that is.
hey,
facts.
Yeah.
If there's
hey.
other games, you want to know something too? There was a game called Gravity fucking Rush. It didn't get no fucking play. You can stick on any fucking surface, climb whatever the fuck you want, upside down, left, right, and then get shit. The
You know why?
journalists saw the
You know why?
Zelda.
Right.
You know
No,
why?
blame the PlayStation guys for not buying that game. I bought the game
Doesn't
though.
matter, but you can't
Let's
sit there and say they're patent.
attribute the
Because
shit to what it is.
because she
Nigga,
was a dark
let me
she
tell
was a
you.
dark skinned beautiful Asian chick with a black.
stop it.
There was
Stop it.
too much color
Shut your lips.
No.
Shut
Let me put you
your
on game.
lips.
No. Let me put you on game right now. You see the same way that the journalist is trying to carry the fucking Xbox and the Series X and Series S right now? That's exactly what the fuck they did with Nintendo back when the Switch came out, bruh. The Switch
Okay.
absolutely
facts,
dropped with nothing but fucking Zelda, dog. And they fucking praised
facts.
that game to the high fucking heavens. It didn't look like Horizon. It didn't fucking play like Horizon. It wasn't optimized like Horizon. But guess what? They keep telling you about this fucking Zelda bullshit. They pushed it the fuck out there, dog. And yes, the game is successful. We can't take that away from the fucking game. It is successful, bro. But it's successful because they pushed it in that fucking manner, dog. Y'all playing like y'all didn't see what happened when the fucking Switch dropped. But I'm gonna keep it a buck, nigga, because I watch all this shit, dog. The Switch should have never, ever got any of the praise that shit got because it was a piece of shit fucking piece of hardware from the time that motherfucker came out.
Please, nigga, have you? Hey, nigga,
that's the bullshit you going with.
Stare down in Mario Kart. Come on, nigga, you tripping?
No, I'm gonna say this. Since you talking about look. Before I want to go into the corporate versus passion, but I will say this before I move over there. Right, he's absolutely fucking right. That's another thing too. Everybody pushed the Switch to the heavens. The Switch doesn't have no universal fucking chat system. No, none of that shit that the Vita had. None of that fucking shit. It didn't have any of that shit, and everybody shitted on fucking the Vita. Shit on the fucking Vita
for the exact same thing.
The PlayStation 4 and the Xbox.
We don't want no. They did it for the PSP. They did it for the PSP.
But let me be
the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox doesn't have portability, my nigga. It's fucking trash.
We're talking about the Vita. When Sony hold on, Thrash. When Sony came out and said that we want to bring console experiences, which they did that with Game Gear. Sony did that with Game Gear, but they still want to bring console experiences on the hardware system. I mean, on the software, on the thing.
You know why Vita died?
I don't care why it died. I don't care why it died. But for the same, I do not care why it died. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Listen, it died because niggas cried about the fucking storage, bro. That's what the fuck it is.
Yeah, niggas were supposed to cry about that storage. That shit was way too expensive for no reason.
64 gigs or 128 gigs or something like that.
No, it wasn't even 128.
It was. The Vita is a better fucking handheld than the fucking Switch, even in its current fucking form.
I've never denied that, but they stopped supporting it as a company. They stopped making games for it.
When I'm Thrash. What I'm saying here,
we're only making a point as to why the Switch was successful. And let's be clear, they did the same thing with PS4 too, dog. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is not just relative to Xbox and fucking Nintendo, dog. The media literally pushed the fuck out of the PlayStation, bro. Coming off the PS3.
What they did?
Coming off the fucking PS4, nigga. They pushed the fucking Switch, nigga. That they literally fucking pushed that shit. Then
all the way,
and moving into this generation, nigga, they are praising the Xbox for doing absolutely nothing. When have you ever seen a console come out with no fucking launch games? Or let's say it does have launch games and it comes out and it's the fucking Falconeer and the goddamn Schmedium a few months later, bruh. And they're telling you that the PlayStation had a bad year in 2021, bruh.
Literally straight lying. All I'm saying is
tell you that the fucking the Xbox had a great fucking year, but y'all don't see what the fuck is going on. They literally doing this shit for every one of these platforms, but niggas ain't paying attention to what the fuck is happening. And the Xbox fanboys, I'm gonna tell y'all niggas right now, y'all niggas is just happy they not shitting on that piece of shit. And we all know it's a piece of shit. We can stop the bullshit now. We can move from the 12 teraflops of power and all that bullshit because we already see that's fucking FUD, nigga. That's absolutely.
I'm gonna say this right for Nintendo, the Switch, right? Controller drift out the fucking ass, buying those expensive fucking shit, right? I put my Vita in every console. Hold on, wait, no, it's not every console. I put my Vita in my pocket, just raw.
Why?
Right? And I still don't have any kind of control for whatever reason I was doing at the time.
I still don't have. My joysticks broke on me.
What, your Vita?
One better.
Yeah. Real shit.
That song, mine didn't.
I had drip on that. That was the reason why I turned my shit in.
No, mine didn't.
Let me give you one better. The Pro Controller for the goddamn Switch. Niggas never talk about the latency with that bullshit, bro.
Ooh.
Never.
Same thing with the PS4 controller.
I'm talking about plugged in and all. Niggas never talk about that shit. Nigga, the characters be feeling heavy as fuck. With that goddamn controller.
Hold on. So we gonna ignore the PS5.
Who the fuck you become a Nintendo stand, nigga?
I know I'm not a look. I'm not a fan of
Thrash
anybody.
been a
Nigga, I
Nintendo
like
nigga, man.
games.
You got this
It's
nigga
great.
fucked
No,
I'm a
up.
you know
fan
what
of.
thrash sound
I'm
like?
not a
The
fan
thrash sound
of
like
none
that.
of this
Thrash
shit.
sound like that fake rapper on YouTube.
You
I'm
sound
not a
like Ray
rapper.
Andrews.
I'm not,
You
but I'm
sound
not
like
a
Ray
rapper.
Andrews, man. Get out of
If
here.
y'all need
Listen.
video
But
footage
I'm not a
of
rapper.
my
I'm
Nintendo
finna tell
Switch and
y'all
what I
niggas
play
because
on
we've
it,
had many arguments about Nintendo, dog.
yeah, nigga, I've
We've
always stood
had
up
many,
for
the
Nintendo,
same way
but
I
I
troll
always put
fucking
down
Chris, this
Nintendo
nigga be
too.
trolling me about fucking Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah,
The
ain't it?
difference is I'm not passionate and don't give a fuck about it. Like I really don't give a fuck about it.
Yeah,
So
see?
I'll laugh right along with you, nigga.
Yeah,
Let's talk
yeah. I
about
don't give a fuck
Halo.
about these consoles. These consoles are businesses. They better just supply
Look, I'm
me
gonna
with
tell you. I'm
money
gonna
so
tell
they
you
can
right
get
now.
paid.
I'm glad. I'm glad that they fixed the problems, or at least I can't really say that they're problems. I like the direction that they're moving when it comes
Ooh,
to Forbidden West. I love the
ooh.
direction that they're moving.
I mean, we
So
gotta
do
wait until the
I.
I mean,
game come
I
out
think
before we
Horizon
can
is going
really
to be
see
a
what we're
great
gonna get.
game, bro. I think
No,
Horizon and Breath of the Wild was a good battle, and Breath of the Wild to some people was better. I don't think Breath of the Wild was better than Horizon, but I understand the greatness of Breath of the Wild, though. I play Breath of the Wild. I know how great it is. I know how great Horizon is. I know both of their flaw sets, and I mean Horizon is going to look better, and then Zelda might come out, and that's probably going to be the battle for next year or with God of War. But at the end of the day, man, I mean, I think they're both sexy. Honestly, I could just say both.
So I'm gonna say
Honestly.
this, right? I wanted to ask you guys this, and Chris specifically. And the reason why I wanted to ask Chris this shit, you got a lot of background noise, sick. I don't know what that
I
is.
do,
Okay. Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
I must have the best goddamn
It's like you
ear,
near a
dog.
leaf. It's like you near a leaf blower.
And they was blending some beats
God
and
damn it!
great
Nah, I'm
shakes.
outside, so you probably hearing my central AC system, dog. That shit is.
Oh yeah, that's probably
Oh
what it is.
yeah, that's
Yeah, I
what it
think that's
is.
what it is that you're
Yeah.
hearing.
I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
No, so Chris, I wanted to ask you this particular question, right? Because Nintendo is known for their really passionate games, right? They're known for their passionate games and how they just craft their games without corporate interference, right? Would you agree with that statement that there's no board meetings? You know what I'm saying? Um,
Bullshit. I don't agree with that.
I know.
what would you say?
I don't know. I wouldn't agree with that neither. I mean, Nintendo
Right.
does a lot of bullshit ass like the locking content behind amiibos and charging $60 for old remasters with barely any efforts and and all that other stuff. Like you don't see me defending Nintendo. No, you see me defending Breath of the Wild, but all the other shit y'all said about the Switch. That's why I stay quiet because I agree. Like the Switch has a lot of
I mean, gaming,
bullshit ass issues.
not.
Yeah.
I mean, like their games, not necessarily their policies, but the actual games themselves.
Well, yeah, I mean their games are made. Yeah, some of them games. I wouldn't say all of them, but some of their games. Yeah, you. This is why they're received so well because they're made at a utmost high quality, with passion, and people can see that.
There are
Some of their
some, and
games, just like PlayStation, right? Some of their games you can tell. Then there's other games that's like, oh no, this shit is bullshit. So
no, I will say this, right? Because there's a difference between actual corporate games versus passion games. Like for instance, Ubisoft games for starters, you can literally play their game and see the board meeting check boxes in their games.
we got a Ubisoft dev in here right now too. So
If he's
yeah.
in there, then you should know better. You should know. I'm sure you. If you want to speak up on their great. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to, I'm not backing down on what I said.
Oh no, Ubisoft games is they low key be trash. They low key be trash the way they be built, right? It really feel like you doing chores, nigga. Like they like go here, go there, get this. Yeah, go ahead and kill that, and then after you do all of that shit, you feel like you did it for nothing.
Yeah, there's checklists, and if you are a developer, I mean, cool. I would take this and go back to there. I'm sure you know when you sit down with the games or when you sit down in your job, we need to do this. We need to make sure that this is fire. The funny thing is, though, with Ubisoft is that they are extremely successful. That's the funny thing. So everybody can sit there and give it a low Metacritic score or whatever the case is, but their games keep selling.
Hey, that's a fact.
It's
I've been looking at Riders Republic for a minute, but the only reason why
yo,
I'm
but
staying
Riders
away
Republic
from
is
it,
kind of lit a little bit. Yo, it's a little bit lit.
yo, I want to get it, man, but I feel like when I get it, I'm gonna be like, yo, what the fuck did I just buy?
Matter of fact,
Dog?
that's one of the developers that's in here right now. He worked on Riders Republic.
Yeah.
When I played that, when I saw the game, the only thing I don't like about it is that the barrier of entry is a little bit too steep. I mean, you can learn it and shit like that, and it's fine. And it's very cheesy. It's
Wait,
like,
did you just say the barrier of entry?
am I saying that shit wrong? I don't know, man. I was tired of shit. How you say that shit?
No. You said it right, but I'm trying to figure out what the barrier is. It's either you feel like it's worth that or it's not. It ain't no barriers to it.
It's just the way that the game controls. It's not like, when you remember back in the day we played Tony Hawk, we picked that shit up and it was pretty.
Barrier of entry. Now you're talking about the controls. Those are
yes, that's the barrier. That's the barrier of getting in there. To me, that's how I'm using the phrase. For me to get into the game.
Did you play the demo? Did you play?
I bought the game.
Like learning curve.
Learning curve. Yeah, I bought the game.
Okay, you did buy it. All right. So
I have it.
What you think about it though? Like, give me just like a quick synopsis real quick.
So, if I were to take away the issues I have with the controls, right, and it was easy, it's a nice chill spot with your friends that just bullshit around. You can literally, like a weapon wheel, go from riding your bike down a steep fucking hill to going to literally transforming into a fucking hang glider and doing shit like that. And then when you hit the ground, you can hit the slopes with the snow. Like, it's crazy. Like, you could just literally pick whatever means of transportation and tricks system that they have going on. So like,
what is the purpose?
The purpose is basically like SSX Tricky, Tony Hawk, and those particular types of game.
Oh, okay.
And they give you a playground to like do all these particular tricks, and you can see everybody in the environment. Like it's a live service, obviously, right? But you can see people that's playing on PC or Xbox, whatever the case is right then and there. You can start up like challenges in front of people. Like, you be like, okay, I'm going to challenge you to go down this hill as fast as I can by getting these particular points. All of that shit is seamless.
So, okay, but what is the actual goal of the game? When they created this game, what did they intend you to do? To just fuck around in the sandbox, or?
It's basically like, think about Tony Hawk that's online where you see other people. You could either build up your own score or challenge other people to it without having a menu system in your way.
Are you saying that there's no real point to the game? Because that's really what I'm asking. Like, what is the end goal of the game? Like,
for a sports game, what would the end game be?
I mean, it got to be something. Like, even in Forza, you got like the little map with all the little icons and shit like that.
Oh, you got little things you can do, and you can upgrade your shit, like your bike or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, what?
Oh, okay. You don't just okay.
So if I start playing the game, what does the game want me to do besides just do random shit in the world?
So the game would take you on an hour tutorial of learning how to play the game, right? Once you learn how to play the game, they drop you in an environment that has all sorts of different scenarios, and it's all interconnected on this island, so to speak. The objective, I guess, is to get a high score for your corresponding sport, whether it's BMX type shit, snowboarding, what do you call it? The snowmobile shit, or hang gliding shit. So you could do that at any point in time. So you want to hit and this is what I played from the little I played from it, because it's just too much shit that I'm dealing with right now in terms of gaming. But you want to climb up on the leaderboards, and you can transform, like I said, you can ride down a hill and then you can just pick the hang glider thing immediately as you're falling on the bike, and then drift into another area, but you can go back onto your bike, like all of that shit. And you could do your whole like ollies and all the other crazy shit. And there's races too. So there's races where you would go down the hill and you can try to beat each other, score in that particular regard.
So
it's a nice game.
Story to the game, like
there's no story at all. That's like what
okay.
With Tony Hawk, with Tony Hawk, they didn't have that either.
When I say that, I mean like a story, like, even with like the wrestling games, like they had a backstory to it and shit that you had to do like that. Like, basically, you're just getting dropped off in the sandbox and you're just there to play. That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Ubisoft ain't making those stories, nigga.
I mean, like I said before, it's really there. Like, it's a really good virtual hangout spot where you could do shit, play with the, the mechanics and stuff like that.
Y'all talking about Riders Republic?
Riders Republic, yeah.
Hey, yo, Alex, man, hold on.
In the game, dog.
Alex,
just a little bit.
Alex, come in here, man, so you can explain your game.
Is he in there?
Alex. He's the Ubisoft guy. He worked on that Riders Republic shit.
Right, I just added him in there. I'd be curious to see what he say about it because I believe when you look at these games, I'm gonna follow him too. When you look at these games, especially, I think Ubisoft has like they get shitted on a lot for being very, what's hip, what's cool. You know what I'm saying? They do that shit a lot, and that's a huge fucking problem to me in the industry. Even Sony does it too. You know what I'm
But
saying?
I
They don't do
enjoyed
it.
Immortal Phoenix Rising. That game was fucking awesome. That game
I
was the
saw you
shit.
playing that, and I was kind of curious about it. And then
I'm telling you,
just
that
something else
game is
happened. I'm gonna
amazing,
take a
bro.
look at it.
That game is
Alex,
amazing.
you a
That's the
speaker
best
right
game
now.
Ubisoft. My bad. That's the best game that Ubisoft has made this gen, bro. Immortal Phoenix Rising. If y'all ain't play that, go play that.
Alex, you're in here now. I'm not sure. Where is he at? Where you go?
He was there. I don't know. I think he dropped out or something. No, yeah, he went back to listen.
He was like, nah, nigga, I don't want that smoke. Let me stop playing.
Nah, ain't no smoke.
Nah,
Ain't no
I know.
smoke. Ain't no smoke to be given out, bro. Ubisoft
Uh,
games, bro. Let me see. We played The Division. We played what? Ghost Recon. Jemiah, the fucking Immortal Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, I got Ghost Recon.
I played all of the Assassin's Creeds except Valhalla. That's the only one I haven't played yet.
I play out. Yeah, Assassin's Creed Odyssey was my game of the year over God of War.
I don't know how.
That
Ew.
shit was fire.
I, okay.
Yo, I don't understand. Yo,
It
I'm not even
wasn't
against that
bad.
though,
I'm
God of
not
War,
saying that it's
because
bad.
no, I'm just saying
Jesus.
like God of War is just too. The narrative for God of War is so plain and simple, but niggas act like that's the best story ever told. Yeah, the
It
acting was
is.
amazing, but the story was bad, plain Jane, bro. Come on, like get out of here.
It was amazing, and I'm not even gonna
Sometimes you don't
argue
need to
with this
have any
topic.
kind of layers upon layers upon layers of crazy ass fucking stories. Sometimes you just have to have really decent acting.
Yo, the shit was alright.
Like you can look at Uncharted. You can look at Uncharted 2. Uncharted 1 and 2, right? And there ain't no crazy storyline with that one, but the acting and
the
everything
shit
else was
was
really nice.
alright, bro.
And I
The shit was
loved Uncharted, bro. I
okay.
don't know what y'all niggas talking about.
No,
Especially Uncharted.
I'm
Look,
talking about
niggas
like
be shitting
I'm talking
on
about having a
Uncharted, but I
complex
love that shit.
storyline. I'm talking about having a complex storyline. I'm not
Oh
talking
no,
about
no,
the
no, no, no,
quality
no.
of it.
It wasn't complex. You're right. You're right about that. You're right about that. Nah, it wasn't complex, but
It was a
it
good
didn't need to
story.
be, bro. Like
And it,
Odyssey ain't really complex. The shit just is a whole bunch of busy work, bro. I think I spent 20 hours actually in the game, and then the other fucking 80 hours was me running around doing all the bullshit on the map, dog.
Bro,
which
I got
game?
the platinum like in 60 hours, bro. Like I don't understand how people took so long to
I
beat that
don't
game.
know how
That shit
you
was
did,
so
dog.
easy.
I don't know how
Nigga.
you did, bro. That shit took me
I
like
guess me
100 and
playing
some
World of
hours, dog.
Warcraft for 5 years, it trained me how to do MMO type
Hold on,
shit.
guys. Alex, I don't know what was going on. You're a speaker now, so you can
No,
unmute and talk whenever you need
the
to.
app crashed. It decided to just take a shit.
Yeah, what's going on? How you feel about this? Because I had this conversation a couple of days ago about like it felt like back in the day people they took more risks and they were able to do what they wanted to do. But I guess now since the stakes are a lot higher, you have to try to find something that's tried and true or something that will basically be like, okay, cool. What is hot right now so I won't lose money? Like, how do you feel about that, Alex?
So I got a preface. I work in France, so Ubisoft NSC. So my job is incredibly secure. So I have big opinions about the bullshit that AAA studios are pulling lately. But I was going to answer Six's question really quick. There is no story with Riders Republic. That's our studio's game, like only us. Ubisoft Bucharest helped as well, but whatever, and Montpellier. But that's our studio's game. There is no story. It's just like the events are splattered throughout the open world. So imagine like Tony Hawk 1, where you have individual levels. Those are all the individual event areas that you can visit and like, get high scores and compete with friends or whatever online. But there's just an open world layer on top of it to just randomly just go around and just have fun and don't have to worry about chasing high scores all the time, right? There's not really like a quote unquote story at all.
Gotcha. So there's no real like end game or anything. It's just like whenever you got some time, jump in and
Yeah, and
do
just have
whatever.
fun. I mean, obviously it's just for people that want to chase high scores for extreme sports, right? Reason why people play SSX and games like that, right? They're just like bigger, more numbers. Let's go. So that's
So
it.
how do you get to the credits?
You click on credits on the main screen.
Oh.
No,
I think it's an option,
Alright.
but whatever. Yeah. No, I mean,
That's bad funny.
it's supposed to be an open, a playground game because we're a really small studio. We're only like.
You did this? You wait, Alex, you were responsible for that game?
Yeah. I'm a world artist, is what they call it, level design. But it's like 3:00 in the morning. I'm up because I'm on vacation for like 4 weeks. It's great.
Damn.
Right now, this studio is really small, so it's meant to be a smaller project. It's meant to just be kind of like a game that's people to play around in. I think the game flopped and did terrible if I'm looking at the numbers for MPD and stuff. But Steep looked the same, but in the end, Steep sold an insane amount and made us a ridiculous amount of clout inside the company. So they're like, yeah, make another game, go for it. So they just recently put us on the Ubisoft Star Wars project with Ubisoft Massive. So we're working on the next Star Wars project. But I guess they thought we were good enough to help them with that. So that's great.
I'm gonna go out on a limb, right?
Well, congratulations, man.
I'm gonna go out on a limb because I'm one of those people that, as long as the game has a couple of features that I'm looking for, I'll pick it up. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, I loved Watch Dogs 2. Absolutely loved it. I've beaten the game several times. Problem is, they made Watch Dogs Legion, which is an awful game. I don't know what happened.
What?
Yeah, that's an awful game.
No,
Can't do it.
man. Bro,
When you
I
play,
love
they
every
took
Watch Dogs.
they
Every
took
Watch
features
Dogs.
out
It's
of.
okay. It's okay.
They took features out of that Watch Dogs, and whatever features they had just, to me, it wasn't. It was kind of sloppily done. And I was thinking it had something to do with being just the corporate board meetings and shit like that. You said that you have a lot of grievances since your job is secure, right? And let me go on a limb, Alex, and say this. I truly believe that game is one of those things like Family Guy, right? Family Guy did awful. Not a game, but like a show, a success story. Family Guy did awful on Fox. It's absolutely horrible. It did 2 seasons, and Fox was like, nah, nobody's watching this. Comedy Central picked them up. And because no one had anything to do, they just watched that shit, right? And then it became popular, which Fox ended up going back to them. I think your success story will be in line. I truly believe that once people finish these AAA games in the beginning of the year, people are going to start to explore your game and realize it's a really good game. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, the only thing I had an issue with is the way that the game controls. It was too long of a tutorial, and the way the game controls. Once you get it,
Yeah, there's so many ways to move around the world that there's just a lot of control.
It's too right. It's too many options. Sometimes less options is better. So it could be a more focused point, but once you get it, it's fine. So I don't know if you could do another game. I feel like the controls just need to be focused on one type of way of doing it, and then and it'll be easier to jump into. Because I tried to get other people to join it, and they're like, "What the fuck is going on with the controls? Like, what? I don't know how to do it. How do you do these tricks?" And I'm like, "Well, which one are you on?" "Oh, I'm on this one too." And then I'm like, I can't really tell him how to do it or tell the person how to do it. But anyway, going back to the industry, you mentioned that there's problems with AAA games. I'm curious to hear from a developer standpoint. What do you mean by that?
Well, I've told this to Chris before. We both agree that Breath of the Wild is a type of game where that team basically was just allowed to just make the game that they wanted to make, and they didn't really. There was no. Well, I'm sure that there was a little bit of make it open world push from high up, but other than that, they really crafted a game that they really wanted to just really wanted to make, wanted to see a next step up from. Onuma really wanted to make the next Zelda something special, and they did an incredible job. There are some AAA games that do this, and Assassin's Creed 1 is an excellent example. When that game was first announced, there was nothing like that at the time. People were kind of blown away by the amount of AI would be on screen at one time, which didn't end up being that true. If you played the first one, it's pretty empty comparatively, but 2 fixed all that. But in general, the way the movement was and the way you actually interacted with the open world, people were like, wow, this is the next step. This is the next step from what people were used to, which was GTA, was the only real open world game, right? Like, and okay, so this is the evolution of being able to scale the open world environment, and I think that risk was amazing. But since then, yes, Assassin's Creed had its time where it was an assassin game only, and I do not defend the people that say that Assassin's Creed was better in the past. It's it was worse in the past. I think they control much worse. The combat is much worse. I think everything about that series, if you try to go back today to play them, yes, Black Flag and Unity now with all the updates is great, but like those games are good, but they don't control nearly as well, and they don't play nearly as well as the new ones. And there's way less options, and I think that's a detriment. But here's the thing: why did it get that way? Was because of corporate oversight, right? Why did all of a sudden Assassin's Creed decide to go to a Witcher style format? Because someone on high was like, "Have you seen the numbers Witcher 3 did? Have you seen the numbers that these games are doing here? We should probably just do that." And we just did it. I am sure I'm not putting a negative on the Origins team. I am sure that they also, when they were told that, they said, yeah, you're right. This is a good way to evolve. This is a way to do it, because great ideas from companies should be stolen from other companies to make your games better, right? You take the best ideas of your competition and you involve them and make them better. This is why almost every open world game for the past like 10 years has taken the Ubisoft format of open world.
Yep.
I'm sick and tired of it, because it's just a shit system nowadays. Like, it's been 10 years of climbing towers and unlocking all the icons and doing all this stuff. The grievance I have with like AAA right now is the fact that like when I like Halo 1, I don't like Halo 2. I like Halo 3. I don't care for 4, I don't care for 5. I like Reach and whatever, but with Halo Infinite, yeah, I had fun. But why did you apply straight up exactly the Ubisoft formula? Unlock a FOB, unlock all the icons on the map, go to the icons, repeat, rinse and repeat over and over. It is really cool to do that in Halo now, but as someone who has played every open world game and someone who has worked in this same format for 10 years, I hate it. Like, it's the corporate oversight of like, well, we have to take these, but don't go too far. Where Chris will tell you that, thank God Nintendo was like, here it is. The oversight was make it open world, but then they just let the player be smart. They wanted you to actually use your intelligence, actually go search out for things. They didn't basically baby you like most Nintendo games do normally. That's a big problem there. But like, it is something that I have a real problem with in the AAA industry, is how much every game is turning into the exact same product. Every game has towers. Every game has open world icons. Every game is doing the exact same thing. And it's like, I understand that everybody in a pure capitalist society, it is all about creating the game. This type of game is supposed to be the ultimate game that does everything every other game does. And one day that will happen, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully creatives decide to go off and do fun stuff again.
Well, you tried to do that with Riders Republic. I love it.
Well, in the extreme sport side, but that's the thing, is like, why do we want to do that? And like you say, corporate oversight, corporate dictating is what is causing everything to become the same, and it's so boring.
Let me tell you this, Alex. Let me interject with this, right? Because here's the thing. It's funny because everyone screams, and excuse me if I get a little political, but everyone screams diversity and inclusion. And I'm not talking about race. I'm talking about just you need to cater to everybody. And what happens in that case is that in the process of you catering to everybody, every single game is going to cater to everybody, which means, as you adequately put, every single game is going to be the fucking same with a different skin on it. It is great to have a game that just is different. Fine. If you can't do this, fine. Do one thing really, really well and set yourself. Like, for instance, when it comes to Zelda, right? I don't think the combat is that great. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you can do a lot in the game, but the AI can't compensate for what you're doing. So it's like, it's pointless. to do all that shit. Like you're beating on a dummy. The dummy just can't do anything about what you can do. Fine. But what it does extremely, when they can touch up on that, I'm not saying not to, but what they can do, I mean, what they do well is the adventure aspect. You see something, you have to plan out how to get to it. And that's the adventure aspect. Maybe you can't glide. Maybe you can't climb as long as you should. You have to build that up before you can get to that area. And it's that feeling that makes you like, you know what? I feel like I accomplished something. It was like when I played San Andreas, right? Because San Andreas would be considered like I guess the predecessor to an Ubisoft game, the typical Ubisoft formula. But like there was an area underwater in San Andreas that I couldn't get to. GTA San Andreas for the PS2. And I had to build up my fucking lung capacity to get to there. And when I did do it, I just, I was just dipping and going back up and dipping and going back up and stuff like that. And I learned how to, do it. And it was great. All that shit was amazing when I felt accomplished in that regard. And you just don't feel that anymore because everything is trying to do the same fucking thing over and over and over. Nothing is original anymore because you're adding the same thing into there. I'm kind of glad that if you've been following Forbidden West, they cleaned up their map system. So it's not telling you where to go. You know what I mean? Some of the machines will lead you to certain areas that you wouldn't have normally have gone to anyway. So it's not necessarily just a checklist.
I was gonna say we're luckily in this like weird zone right now where Breath of the Wild is only 4 years old, right? And we're gonna start seeing a bunch of games copy that, and that's fine. I'm glad because they broke the mold away from the Ubi formula, and so thank God that Forbidden West is doing that, right? Don't just clutter us with a bunch of icons on the map. Let the player actually have intelligence, or treat the player like they're intelligent. Treat the player like they're a gamer, right? Like actually let them do that. And the people that are not, they're still gonna click on the main objective icon and go towards it, right? That's fine. That's perfectly good. That's what Zelda does, and that's fine. And I'm happy for that. The problem is going to be that once Horizon Forbidden West comes out, and it's awesome, cross your fingers, everybody, but once it's awesome, everybody's going to keep copying that format even more, because Genshin Impact pushed it in that direction, and then Horizon will push it in that direction, and then every game is going to be Breath of the Wild-like. And it's like, oh no, the same trap. I know there's always innovation. There always will be. And they will try because everybody will try to make things better and better and better and better. But it's like, does everything need to be open world? Can we stop? Thank God the Splinter Cell team at Toronto, the director literally said, it's going to be a linear wide product. Don't worry. He had to say that. And why? Because everybody and their mother was like, oh no, an open world Splinter Cell. Why another open world game? No, it's supposed to be a story-based spy thing, not like this open world. And thank God, right? But like you say, how much of the corporatism is going to still be involved in that game, and how will it evolve over the next 5 years, right?
Right. Now let me say this though, Alex. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was making sure because Twitter trips out a lot. But my question here is that when I play your game, I can feel your passion. This was like a passion type project. I feel it. I can't quantify it, but I feel it.
That's
but I
because we're a
also
small studio, right? That's a good thing.
Maybe so. Maybe it doesn't need to be a small studio. But what I can feel is that you wanted to try something in your head that wasn't bogged down by what's fresh, what's clean, what's hip, what's not. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, it'd be cool to just have like a playground to just do shit. You know what I mean? And literally that was a ballsy move that you guys did to allow yourself to change your means of transportation at any point in time, wherever your character is. If you're in midair, you could change that immediately. Because people will be like, okay, well, you can only change this. You can only stay here and do this. You know what I'm saying? Then you have to go to this area to change from the glider to a bike, and then go here from there to a snowmobile, and etc. You made it very arcadey. And the only thing that kind of hinders that is just the controls. If the controls were easy to get into, this game, I'm telling you, I don't know what patches you got for 2022, but if you can get that together, it's going to be big. My whole thing is when it comes to Ubisoft, right? This is just coming from just a consumer, but there are some things that you have within this game that I could tell that Ubisoft kind of stepped in and was like, well, why don't you kind of do this too? Like, there's some kind of cheesy elements that you have in the game, like dances and the type of machine, and there's the I don't want to say verbiage, but like how they speak in the game,
But that's actually that that stuff is written by people that actually
somewhat.
like the writing for like the speech and the dances and stuff. That's because most developers, their kids are playing Fortnite and they see their kids falling in love with that stuff.
You see that? You see what you just said, Alex? Somebody had to go into a group, a focus group, or whatever the case is, be like, well, this is what kids say nowadays.
Not a focus group. Literally, just everybody talking about like, why don't we add this if they're doing that? Like, and all the kids love it. We want our kids to love it too. Let's do it. That's not a focus group.
Well, I mean, but this is the thing, though. It may not be a focus group, and I was wrong for saying that it was a focus group, but I will say this: games in the past, I'm 37. Games in the past, they just made shit. They didn't think about. They just let me make something really good. And I get it. You're a small group of people, and you want to make the game as successful as possible. And a lot of the times, money drives this shit and makes it so that you do things of that nature. I mean, it comes off as being really, as being kind of cheesy. It might as well say that's rad, it's far out, bro, and stuff like that. And they doing daps and shit like that. That's what the dances and shit. That's what I mean. You got the corporate, where whoever came up with the idea, you know what I'm saying? Your idea for having these different sports is that
weirdly
perfect.
enough, that is what Zoomers do, though. That's
kind of what they do. They do. Maybe because I'm not from that generation. I'm like, come on, man. Well, you didn't have to say all that. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, guys. I'm about to go to the store and get a burger. It's busting. I was like, They didn't say that. I'm just. I mean,
but like, you know what? The biggest one is. The biggest one is like, I specifically think Thrash has talked about this in his videos before. Is like, a game gets developed like Assassin's Creed, right? Gets out there, gets developed, everything's done and said. I think it was it Odyssey that introduced this? I forget which one now. The game is done. Then they say, okay, so focus test group, right? They sit down and they play the game and they really hit hard on like ideas on it for content for updates. About like what's probably like 4 or 5 months before the game comes out. They sit down and they say, oh man, this game is big. This game is long. Somebody in the higher up probably looks at that data and says, shove in a $15 price where it just doubles all the XP. Right? Like, we don't have the money. We don't have the time to readjust all that for like, we don't have this kind of budget to redo all that stuff. And some of the focus test groups are saying this, so shove that in there. I bet that happened. And I can't prove that otherwise, but like, I bet that happened. And I bet you that like they thought immediately, like, this is the easiest way because it makes the corporation money. And if you don't have the time, you probably have the money, right? That's the sad part. And
right.
It's abusive, and it comes from the corporate side. And I've constantly put in suggestions on the side saying, like, just stop. You don't need to. Like,
the funny thing is, I looked into corporate, and we're going to talk. What I want to do is I'm not going to take too much of your time with this one, but I am curious about what people think in general about where everything is heading. Just in general and how it ties into just people's lifestyle. But one of the things that I was listening to, the developers of Ben Studios, they're not there anymore. But these focus groups that they have, they're fucking accurate as hell when it comes to rating these games. And that's the shitty part of it. They're accurate. So when they say certain things, right? When they say certain things, they say that the game is going to be successful for X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn. And they show you that it will be successful. It kind of sucks because the corporations want to use these focus groups even more. You know what I'm saying? Certain games just have the strikes gold, like Horizon Zero Dawn struck gold immediately because of, I don't think that anyone kind of knew it was going to do that fucking well, and it ended up knocking it out the park. And that's one thing too. I was like, damn. And it just sucks. So my whole thing is this. What I'm noticing, it's funny, I've seen The Matrix, right? and people say that was a poor movie, and it was poorly constructed, but it still had its points, right? And they talk about the same thing, corporations versus passions. In the movie, it was like they say the movie is meta as hell, and they were like the corporation is telling us to make another movie, right, or another game that's based off that is the Matrix, and that universe is the game, and they were going to make it without the creators, with or without the creators. Just to cash in on things. What I'm noticing too is nostalgia is really big too. They keep throwing shit in that's nostalgic to get those extra people, whether it's movies or games. And I feel like it's less and less passion projects out there. Like Death Stranding, Thrash would know. Death Stranding was definitely a passion project, and you could feel that shit through and through. It was one of those games where people liked it. Say what you will about it, but it was what he wanted. Whether it hit or didn't hit or whatever the case is, it did relatively well for what it was. Do you foresee passion projects more in the future or not?
No, I mean that they're objectively like they're such big risk takers with so much money on the plate. Like no publisher can really do it that often, right? Like even something like Days Gone. Right, Days Gone, it was an open world game, and it was hitting like all those like check marks. There's nothing wrong with the game; it's fine. Like it's a good game. It's just that like it did hit a lot of checklists. Check that off. Okay, good. Let's go.
It's like they played the best of both worlds, is what I can see that they were doing. Yeah, they had the check marks, but then they also had the riding in the what do you call it? In the open field with your motorcycle and how you can upgrade that and whatnot, right? They had that in there.
They had to put something unique in there, right? And that was their passion part. So it's like every major project, if the game feels devoid of passion, you will still find something in there that had the passion, right? There's some system that they had to focus on because they're like, well, we got to be different. We have to have something different. And usually they can get away with that more so than they can get away with like, like if Sony Ben said again to Sony, like, we want to make the second game. We want to make Days Gone 2. We really want to do it. I totally understand that Sony would say no, because it's like, you know what? It's just not worth it. But if they were to say like, hey, we want to make the sequel to some dead franchise, like what you were saying, like with nostalgia reasons, right? Sony would easily probably be like, okay, we'll give you that chance, more so because they know the nostalgia is going to sell them than, you know what I mean? Like what you were saying, where it ends up preying on being safe to a certain point.
Because that's what happened with The Matrix. You got Keanu Reeves, you got Carrie-Anne Moss in that particular movie. You try to bring back everybody from the old titles to get that old demographic to watch it. I fell for it knowingly. The same thing with Grand Theft Auto, the remake. Now, you mentioned about the passion projects and how you can have this implementation kind of like mixed. And Puka and I actually had this conversation. He feels that Game Pass will allow for that passion, for more passion projects to happen. And I don't feel that way. He says that he feels that way because it's a safety net. They don't lose. You know what I mean? They're kind of guaranteed a certain amount of money to make that happen. And since they don't have that pressure, I feel like he feels like they can do it. Now, for me personally, human nature and psychology, when you make something easier, people get lazy. It's like when you go into a business and they say that you need to hit 94%, right? What do most people do? They hit 93%.
So they hit right just under and they say, good enough.
You know what I'm saying? But if you say 97%, people hit 96. Well, internally, you're like, well, I already hit those numbers. What do you think about Game Pass actually fueling this, or allowing passion projects?
I agree on the AA side of things, not so much on the AAA side, right? Like I'm trying to think of like a company under Microsoft that would In Exile. In Exile Entertainment does not make these gigantic fucking games. Their games are pretty niche. If you look at their actual catalog, you're like, oh, they're a PC dev, right? They're like PC games. If they were to make some, guaranteed, Microsoft's like, oh no, it'll go on Game Pass, it'll get played by just enough of these amount of people. So don't worry, just do what you need to there and make sure you hit your fan base, right? I could see that allowing them to be like, all right, they told us to hit our fan base. Let's hit our fan base with the games that we like to make, and they'll be much more happy that way. But on the AAA side, you're right. Like chasing a live service product, in the AAA space, I just don't see how it could work. So
too much money on the line.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Game Pass is like the thing where for the indies, everybody always says, I'm a hypocrite when I say this because I have PS Now and I have Game Pass and I love both of them. So fuck everybody who hates any of them at any point in time. But why the fuck, like, does anybody think that those two services are helping indies at all? Because like indies usually get their stuff based outside of the platform first, right? They go on Kickstarter, they go to other publishers first that are picking up all these indie games. Like they are far. It is so rare for those company or for the indie titles to get a deal with in PS Now it doesn't work that much, but let's say Game Pass to get a deal with Microsoft. No, they're getting it through the publisher. So they already picked up a publisher, right? Like,
so the publisher, so the number. And Chris Righteous, I would love for you to speak on this and the next topic, man. If you want to hop in, I would love to have you in there with this one. Okay, that's Flash. Okay, he left. All right, cool. So one of the things, go on. I'm sorry.
Just so you know, in AA space, I agree with Puka completely. In the AA space, sometimes on indie, but in general, indies just do what they want, and they get picked up some other places and get put to Game Pass through those other places, right? So, but AAA, I'm like you. I'm like, ooh, Halo Infinite was chasing what it chased because it's safe and secure to be it's Halo Far Cry Infinite. Like literally that's what it is. And I love it, but I also hate it with a passion. So it's like I love it as a gamer, but I hate it as a person who watches the industry and goes, why? Oh well, that's fine.
So here's the thing, right? Because now we talk about how corporate interests kind of like totally affects people's mindsets. You know what I mean? It's like, for instance, I believe Thrash was saying this earlier, and Sick Humor was saying this earlier, how people were actually pushing. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. They were the media was kind of pushing people to go towards, what do you call it? A particular platform. It was the Switch, the PS4 got pushed a lot because people didn't like what Microsoft was doing in terms of DRM and all that other stuff. So everybody, the media just kind of pushed it. Whether it was some kind of, insidious thing or just people just wanted Microsoft to lose at that point in time, they were pushing them. And so I guess when I'm looking at here, people are pushing Game Pass, or the media is pushing Game Pass for its virtue of playing these AAA games on a service. How do you propose they make their money?
Well, oh, you mean the AAA games? How they're going to make their money?
Not necessarily AAA games, but anybody under Game Pass. How are they making their money? I've always wanted to know on a developer standpoint, how is that? How are they making money? Because get this, yeah.
I think the problem is we don't know because Microsoft is so good at making sure that nobody speaks about it because of their contracts, right? And so we don't really know. I will put it this way, that yes, EA puts their stuff on there, but they only put their stuff on there after about a few months. If the game is a failure, they put it on the EA Play thing and it goes on Game Pass. If the game is not a failure, it takes about a year for it to come out on it. Okay, great. But they don't do day and date. Why? Because EA knows their value in putting the game out at a full price, and people just eat it up, and then they can put it in later. And the few people who weren't going to buy anyway, if they have Game Pass, well, they might put a couple hours into it. Those metrics are seen, and I would assume they get paid for those metrics from Microsoft. I would assume EA gets paid for time played, not for just a one-time engagement. I assume indies are the opposite. But we don't know because no indie has spoken about it because they would get sued into the ground because of contracts. So we don't know. I mean, There's a reason why Ubisoft games are not on that platform. There's a reason why Activision Blizzard games. Well, I mean, nobody wants.
Rockstar.
What's that? Yeah,
Rockstar.
well, even Rockstar, right? They're like, we're going to throw one piece on PS Now and one piece on this, and it's like, what a shitty thing to do, because they know people will then be like, well, I want to play the other ones, and it turned out bizarre because the game was trash from all the bugs and shit. But imagine if it came out good. They knew that the PS Now player who would play, was that Grand Theft Auto 3 that was on there? It's 3, right? On PS Now.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And the Game Pass players would play San Andreas. At the same time, they'd say, well, I want to play the other ones. What do they have to do? $59.99. You got to buy it all. So they knew exactly they knew what they were doing. It's a way to part and parcel and get people to pay. But
now we're going to... And I'm sorry, I'm going to transition into the third topic because I'm kind of curious as to what a developer's mind would think about just the world itself. I'm trying to make this as light as possible. So in the transition process between these predictions that this, I don't know who the fuck he is. Would you consider him a philosopher? I don't know. Whatever he is, Nostradamus. How do you view your... Is he?
Yeah, Nostradamus. He's from the south of France. But anyway, yeah, go.
Huh, that's a coinky dink. Okay. How would you view your customers? How would you view customers of gaming in general? Let me ask you that question. Do you think they're sheeple? Do you think that they just kind of follow the trends? Do you think that they have a mindset to know, even if a game ranks a high rank, if it was paid reviews or, people are just kind of giving gift bags to get, because that's in the industry as well. How would you rate the general public of people buying games? The consumer.
The problem is there's just so many different types, so it's hard to know.
Let's talk about the majority.
Because the majority are basically casual gamers, and it's always been that way, right?
So casual and fickle.
Yeah, because they'll pick up 1 or 2 games a year maximum, and they might pick up a bunch of free to play games or something on their phone, or maybe they pick up Fortnite and they play that or something like that. But they're not the ones that, in general, there are no games that are made strictly for the casual market except for on mobile. But there are no games otherwise, because they're looking for the hardcore, extremely, the people that get extremely addicted, right? They're looking for the whales. And so I think most publishers, big AAA publishers, they look for only 2 groups of people. And the 2 groups are the fan bases, who will always buy in, right? They're looking to build the fan base. So those are just core gamers. And then they're looking for the whales, who will spend.
Interesting. That being said, with these particular people that's out there, why do you think whales exists?
Too much money? No, I don't know. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of data that says those people actually spend more than they have, almost like gambling, right? So I don't actually know if they're not rich people, and I don't think they're super poor people, but I think they're the middle class people that they have the extra money, but then they end up going in debt anyway because they overspend, right? And I think those are what really truly the whales are. But I mean, whales are very rare in general. You're in Fortnite, you could have 100 million people playing the game, and only 1% of that are whales.
One of the things that I do want to say is that, from what I can understand, is that people seemingly are becoming more influenced by media in general. And that's probably what's creating these people. They get this fear of missing out situation, and they'll buy shit that they typically shouldn't buy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because everybody, it's massive. And it's, you talking about, the media being like a puppeteer and stringing them all along. It's so easy to manipulate somebody to buy something. You know what I mean? You got a flashy, for instance, the PlayStation, the DualSense controllers. People ran out to buy those fucking colors for what? They just need to have it. The first one to have it, the first one to have these things. These controllers are not easy, They ran out to pick up all these games with this crazy backyard, with just what Steam preys on as well.
Chris would agree with me that that's Nintendo. Nintendo preys on FOMO hardcore.
Like hardcore, and it works. And this is what I'm saying. Like the way that people are evolving, they can't cope with the amount of stimuli that comes from the outside world. It's so much distortion. It's so much interference with their own mind and their own decision making that everybody can pull them in different directions to do whatever they kind of want, so long as it's flashy. You know what I'm saying? So long as, you know, people have a platform as well. And then people's opinions are heavy. Chris and I are at odds because he likes Breath of the Wild and I like Horizon, right? Nobody's wrong or right in this particular case. When somebody says something shitty about Horizon, I have a problem with that. And when somebody says something shitty about Breath of the Wild, Chris has a problem with that as well, especially if it's not factual. Are you trying to down it because we have this attachment to it? And it's, you know, I fall prey to it. When it comes to advertisement, would you say that is a bad advertisement? Is kind of shitty? Would you say that like advertisement is almost insidious to a degree?
For North Americans, yeah. I've lived here.
What is it like? What is it like in France?
Like, there's just not that much, not as much, because in television, like on television, I don't watch it anymore because I'm not going to pay for television. I have Netflix. But on television, there are no commercial breaks in the middle of shows.
Really?
It comes after a show or before a show. Yeah, there's no
Shut
breaks.
up. That's crazy.
Yeah, so like the NFL is an extreme example. Hey, I like watching NFL. It's great. I love watching football. Problem is, football is just so many commercials. Holy shit. Like, after every play, like, oh, okay, we got 10 seconds. Run it. Run one. It's like, stop doing that.
Millions of dollars, too. Millions and millions of dollars for fucking 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's so, people are so, like, you know, caught off by flashy shit, which is going to bring me into the last topic. And I just wanted to hear what you, did you hear? Yeah.
What I was going to say, I kind of understand what you mean by like the media pushing like something like Game Pass because of FOMO. I actually don't think they're pushing Game Pass because it's like some insidious where Microsoft is paying them and they just want to appease Microsoft. I don't think it's that. I think it's because media survives on engagement. And if your user base, your reader base, like let's say IGN, if you can get as many people on Game Pass as possible, there is no barrier to entry then. And people will more than likely just a little bit play a game and they'll become part of the conversation and then they'll engage back into IGN. Like, I don't think it's like insidious for them from like a Microsoft standpoint. I think it's insidious because they're trying to boost themselves up like, hey, we want everybody to play Halo Infinite to be clicking on our damn articles. So get Game Pass, guys. Game Pass is amazing. Game Pass is amazing. I think that's where it comes from.
You know what I think too? When they introduce, and I said this earlier, when they introduce social media, right, to the public, it made it so that everyone has their own platform to be right. Their truth is what you would call it, right?
Yeah, of course.
That fucked everything up in all facets of life. Having your own platform and being reckless is like the girl, she was on G4 and she said that there's nothing on PlayStation 5 with a fucking straight face. And the reason why she said this is because she wanted engagement, regardless if it was negative or positive. She wanted engagement for her own little platform, which is crazy to me. You will lie and we can't object to it because that's her opinion. You can always default to, well, that's my opinion, bro. That's my opinion. You know what I'm saying? When they gave people these platforms, I think the reason why Game Pass is what it is because of the narcissistic behavior intrinsic in all humans. They want to be right and they want to be the first to be right or say something specifically so that, you know, I'll be the first person to, you know, say I was there first and I started this trend. That's why you get people to find the most outrageous shit. You know what I mean? It was funny because they said something about Betty White, right? Betty White died. Betty White was also into the, she didn't play that racist bullshit, right? And you can't dig up her history. She was, you know, you can't say that she's racist.
She came from that generation where you
She
would just
came,
expect her to have from that dirt just random shit on her, but no, she's like, no, I
no,
don't play that at all.
she had I think it was a vanity show, and they didn't want this black dude. He was like a tap dancer. They didn't want him on the show. She was like, well, tough cookies. He's going to be on there, period. It's just shit like that. You know what people said on social media? They needed to find something bad on her, and they couldn't find it. So they focused all their energy on the Queen of England. It was like, I wish she would have died. Some blue check marks, no less. I wish she have died instead of Betty White. Like, I'm like, what the hell? And they want to get that engagement and be the first person to be like, I thought of this first. You know what I'm saying? So everybody could just follow suit. Because, you know, there's speculation that she was racist, and everybody defaults to racism. They default to rights, people, you know, human rights, and, you know, LGBT and all the other crazy shit that they fall onto, and they make it hyperbolic to the point where you're like, I want to be there first so I can get the engagement first. It's kind of like when you do clickbait.
They don't even like see how like easily, like, even if she was, she said some things during like let's say the 60s or something, or 50s. She said something very racist. Okay, whatever. Okay, so she's racist then, but it's pretty obvious that even if you were to tweet that and like find that, I was like, Betty White had the most like screen time from like the 80s until her death. Like, she's on talk shows and all kinds of stuff where she was so advocating for LGBTQ and BLM like crazy in her old age. So obviously she got better, right? Like, even if she was, right? And it's like, you just want to have that engagement. I agree with you. It's like they just want to throw that out there to be like, look what I found. It's like, yeah.
They want to be the first person. And they don't care how they throw it out there. They will dig so far in social media to find something so they can be the first one. And then they will try to, like people can't change is the situation. And I think, and to tie it back into gaming, because I wanted to kind of give a history on, for anybody that's looking at this, on how we became where we are. They gave our dumbasses a fucking platform. And now you get people that just, Xbox is the best box. PlayStation is the best thing. You know, PlayStation have all the exclusive, despite the fact that PlayStation is going PC as well. Well, that doesn't count. Their
PC Master Race.
PC Master Race. Their truths morph and shape depending on their you know, the situation. So Nostradamus made some predictions, and I feel like it's interesting to come some of the shit that he said. So I'm going to go over a couple of them. I just want to see how you think before we close out on this. Well, it was very interesting. So they claim that this bruh man had the foresight to predict about the cryptocurrency spike, war, starvation, and AI. That's what they claim. And this is all kind of slated for 2022. You know, Q3, by the way. No, that's not Q3. That's what they were saying. That it was going to come. It was going to come out here, and I'm like, man, like some of the shit that they were having. They were talking about some earthquakes. I mean, do you take any stock into these predictions or whatever the case is? You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. It just didn't want me. Yeah. Say it again. What was the question?
My bad. What do you know about Nostradamus? Is what I was going to ask you, because he was saying some crazy shit about what was going to happen in 2022. A whole bunch of crazy shit.
In France, he's pretty like, he's like a folk legend kind of character, right? Like, we knew about him. I knew about him in America because, you know, he's a famous guy, Nostradamus. Like, oh, Nostradamus predicted this, predicted that. But having lived in France now for like 10 years, it's like the French take it serious, where they're like, oh, what did Nostradamus say about this year? Obviously, there's a little bit of like overgeneralization for his predictions, but it's really impressive, like how well he was able to, you know, craft like it was the warring part of like World War I and World War II, like how all the oh God, I forgot what it was. It's like the kings and the predictions, like the kings and the queens had for hundreds of years before had manipulated other groups so well, and they put their children's children in positions of power. And when one died, the rest had to go to war. And that's what happened in World War One. And it's like really impressive prediction because like he was not wrong. He knew exactly what was going to happen.
So either he could see into the future, or he was really good at like understanding how people work, which I think is the latter more so than anything. He mentions
psychology.
Yeah. He mentions about migration crisis. You know what I mean? He mentions a couple of things. So he says of blood and hunger and greater calamity, 7 times Marine Beach, a whole bunch of hunger and place taken in captivity. So we're experiencing that in the United States, where there's a lot of situations, you know, where they're going over the border and they're being trapped in these cages and shit like that. Regardless of how you feel about it, that's interesting for him to kind of mention this. Going to gaming and how people act in social media and shit like that, right? One of the things that he mentioned is about robots and how what he says, and I quote, "The moon in the full of the night over the high mountain, the new sage with a lone brain, which would be a singular entity, you know, like, you know, machine learning and just one big massive thing that looks at all of our history, you know, not history, but behaviors and come up with a solution or a response to it. By his disciples invited to be immortal, which it doesn't have an age in essence. Eyes to the south, hands blossom, bodies in fire." So as modern artificial intelligence become more advanced each year, this warning is about immortal disciples that takes on a very real meaning. So AI in situations. I mean, it's funny because have you seen? And this is my last piece on this one before, because you know I'm a big gamer and I like to play games, right? Have you seen? If you were on YouTube, as you're watching YouTube, they'd be like, "Discover how we can find out what you like if you go into Google.com," and they're like, you ever wonder why these searches pop up when you look for them? And they're like, well, it's because it's AI. And it's like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? They mentioned this also in Metal Gear Solid 1. Like, let me ask you this, Alex. What's your favorite game of all time? Let me ask you that.
Yeah, very unexpected, but my favorite game of all time, Jet Set Radio Future.
Oh, so you do like sports games?
Well, I mean, that's a very loose sports thing, right? Like, Jet Set Radio Future is like, you do rollerblading, but it's not really like...
It's not rollerblading.
Yeah, like...
They need to come up with another one, man. That'll be fucking sweet, but you know...
Metal Gear Solid is, you know, like, if Kojima sold his bathwater, I'd buy it. Like, I'm so sold on all his shit and all his ideas and everything he fucking does. And it's true that when you read some of the stuff that he put in Metal Gear 1, you're like, what the fuck? How did he know that? Or even in Metal Gear Solid 3, some of the stuff that was predicted from like the character's point of view of being in the 60s. How the hell did they know that was? What the fuck? It's crazy.
And the thing is, Metal Gear Solid 2 mentions about AI, and I remember about 20 years ago. When did it come out? It was 21 years ago when I played this game. I was like, what the fuck storyline is this shit, yo? AI, get the fuck out of here. And now
of course.
We're like 20 years later, right? And we're talking about like how we have AI that basically tells us what we like based off of our, you know, what our inputs are. It's fucking creepy, you know. And honestly, to kind of wrap this up, I think it's human nature that allows people like Nostradamus to predict what is going to happen in the future. I think we're very predictable creatures. You know what I mean? I feel like technology evolves way quicker than what we can handle, and we just do not know how to cope with it. We just don't have the coping mechanisms to handle that much attention. You have somebody like Cardi B or Nicki Minaj have 21 million people that would look at them at any point in time. Anything that they will say, millions of people look at them. You know what I mean? Go pre-Twitter, and the most you can have is a block maybe knows who you are. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. It's what you do with all of that attention. You know what I'm saying? Like even speaking to you, um, looking at how Twitter works and Twitter Spaces, right? You join this, and everybody else that follows you will go in here. What is Alex doing right now? Why is he in this space at the moment? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy on how the network is, and just in general, I think there's so much distractions when it comes to us humans that it makes it easier for us to just kind of follow suit. It's just easier for somebody else to tell us what to do. So when we have these Metacritics and shit like that, right? And they say that this game is great. Okay, let me pick it up because I don't feel like looking into it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's unfortunate when it comes to your game that how the advertisement to me, I didn't notice too much about it. I really didn't. Do you think that the advertisement was handled properly?
Yeah, no, I don't think there was any much of it, or at least I know that like our studio was looking for a community manager and never really found any because COVID fucked that all up, right? Like to get English speaking community managers who are living in France, they probably went back to America or they went back to England. So like it's tough because you just don't even have a manager in charge of building the community itself and being curating. It's sad because, like you said, the game is good. The game is good. I'm biased, of course, because I worked on it, but the game is good. But in a world with a bunch of good games, right? Like there's just too many good games, right? You have to do something more to be special, and it relies on the marketing, like you say. The marketing didn't really do it, I guess. Like I didn't see anything really, or at least you would assume with the amount of communication I do, or like on like just on my PC at home, typing in stuff and looking up things, I would have been like offered to buy a copy or something. Like go on Amazon and get it for cheap now, but never. Like the algorithm never worked in my favor, so that's really bad, right? Like even my own game wasn't even offered to me.
Yeah, it's a shame. I feel like honestly, the way that the game was handled, it's probably going to do you better in the long run, as you pretty much could gather, because word of mouth is a much more powerful thing than advertisements. You know what I'm saying? It's like PUBG was
It's
word of
what
mouth.
happened with Steep, by the way. Steep sold pretty well, but it just kept selling a pretty good amount every month, month over month over month over month over month. So,
and I feel like the way of the future when it comes to video games is have it easy to get into and hard to master. You know what I mean? Like the less I don't know. I always thought about it because a lot of games, and maybe you can as a closing, maybe you can tell me what exactly happens on this level. But you play a game like what game did I play that have like crazy fucking? All right, so look at Red Dead Redemption 2. And their menu system is so convoluted. It's like, what the fuck is happening? You know what I'm saying? Death Stranding, another game. What the fuck is happening? You're like, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? It's like, what is this? You know? And I don't know why it's always the menus are like thrown the fucking together. You know what I mean? Do you know what's going on with that at all?
I think our games have this problem too, right? But there's just
I mean, I'm just an opinion. If you feel like it is easy or there was a method to how you did things, just let me know on it. I don't know.
well, like for me, I don't have a problem with any of the menu systems on games at all. But that's probably because I just see so much of like different versions and early versions of them during development that it just kind of like passes me by and I don't have a problem. But the thing is, games are just so big now and there's so many systems that I just think like they're doing a really shit job of developing UI and taking care of that part. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
they're just like,
So
well,
you think it's just like a straight up deficiency.
is a
It's
resource
not.
problem, just not paying
It has
attention.
nothing. It has nothing to do with there's no method to it. It's just a straight up deficiency when it comes to that shit. And
I think so. I hope so because I mean, like, it would be pure incompetence at a certain point if like the same games have the same problems all the time with these UI elements and stuff like that. It's like I don't think it's actually. I would hope not. Because like, why are those people still working in the industry?
It just keeps happening over and over. I'll play a game and it's like, and you'd be surprised on how a UI will literally change it would change the feel of the game. If I have to fumble around with a UI, it's like, I really don't want to fuck around with this shit. I don't. I play too many games. There's too many games out there that plays differently. It's like, I don't want to fuck around with these UIs. And you're making it difficult for me to go into. Like, Death Stranding was ridiculous. Like, why? Why did you do what you did? You know what I'm saying? And maybe you're right. Maybe they're so used to seeing the game on the back end that what comes out customer facing, they feel is good because the back end is so convoluted.
Yeah, because the early stuff is just so bad that what ends up being a part of the game is like, oh, that's really good. People are gonna love it. But in actuality, people are like, oh my god, this is convoluted as fuck, right? Like
now, I'll say this, and Chris and I asked Chris earlier to tell me what he thought that was bad about Zelda, right? I'm gonna say what's bad about Horizon. First and foremost, I'm just gonna focus on the menu. The menu wasn't that bad in terms of like you can have everything sorted like a checklist. You had like your crafting this, that, but you know what I mean? So you had those things there. What fucked everything up was the map. There are like 26 or 28 machines that you can fight, and they will litter every single place the machines would reside, right? All 28 of them, and just throw them motherfuckers on the map, along with save points, along with resources. And the map was so covered and shit. You couldn't even see anything. Whose idea was that? Now they never.
Do you know what that is? That's a case of basically copying somebody else's early formula that worked well. Far Cry 3. Because Far Cry 3 littered the map with icons, and wherever the boars were, there was a boar icon here. Wherever there was this. Like, it was all that shit. And people thought that was amazing back then, but you don't need to copy it, right? You can improve it. You don't have to just do the same thing. And I think that person who was stuck with the UI didn't have the time or the budget because they were more worried about other systems. And he's like, okay, let's do what they're doing. Boom. Good.
It's funny too, because their excuses, you can turn them off. Why do I gotta go in there and do your work? Why couldn't you just tell me what's important around the area, or allow me to understand through visual clues? Right, but through visual clues of what's in the area. That's why the area felt dead. It was, if I wanted to find some pigs, they get the pig skins or the pig bone or whatever the case is. It should have been like, what do pigs eat? They eat this. Let me just go into this area that's forest. You know what I'm saying? Oh, there's pigs over here. So now I know that there's pigs. I can mark it for myself. Right here is pigs. If I'm looking for a fucking turkey or a fish or whatever the case is, they're going to find this. There's no exploration at all. Everything is just laid the fuck out for you. Have at it. It's ridiculous.
It should be the opposite. It should be like the map only has the most important part, which is like Zelda, Breath of the Wild, most important parts on it. And Breath of the Wild, though, had the problem where there was no extra, like, you could not put extra filters on top. You had to make all the markers yourself, which is cool. It's a cool way to do it. But it should be the opposite. You could be like, I just want to kill these damn pigs or boars or whatever in the game. You go to filter, animals, pigs, click it. All of a sudden, the map just has a bunch of pig markers all over it. And look what all.
Oh, you cut out there.
Oh, sorry. It shouldn't be a thing that plasters it where it's like, look at all this stuff you can do because you overwhelm the player. And that's why the majority of people don't finish open world games. Because they look at that and they go,
too many choices is what a detriment. That is detrimental. You know what I mean? You throw a whole bunch of fucking choices. Here you go. There you go. It's detrimental.
That's kind of a problem with Game itself too, right? You have too many choices and you get like shocked. Like, what do I play? Oh, I could play this, or I could play this, or I could just go watch Netflix. And you go watch Netflix and you do the exact same thing. You look through all the videos.
Well, that's why you need AI. AI kind of tells you, like, they understand what type of games you play, and they would do it. That's a slippery slope.
I know, like,
because like
it only starts to
you know what I'm saying,
games
like
that you like, and you'll never experiment with anything else. Like,
there's that issue, and then on top of it, like just giving out that kind of information is like really like okay, like they don't know somebody down to a fucking T. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really pervasive, and it's like damn, like I feel naked around this. You know what I mean? And it's bad too. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be real with you, Alex. Google has way too much information for its own good. For its own good. You know, I was just searching. I was like, okay, let me type in, and I was with a couple of friends, right? I was like, let me type in, what was I looking for? What's the definition of RPGs? And it started to pull up some porn history. I was like, wait a minute, hold up. Like, you can't be showing that shit out in the open. Come on, man. Like, they just know everything about me. They know what I like, what foods I like, all sorts of crazy ass shit. It's crazy. But thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it, dude. I'm going to end it here. I know I've been rambling and stuff like that. I really appreciate you joining in. Give me a peace sign or whatever the case is. Let me know you heard me, because you fell into listener mode, or I'm not sure if you did that on purpose or whatever. But I am streaming this on YouTube as well. So I've been actually broadcasting your game. People can see what I'm looking at on Twitter, so they could see that and see how the game works. You know what I'm saying? So that's there too. So I really appreciate that. Thank you guys for actually making this like legit. I'm glad. I'm glad that you guys did that. You know, and any chance I get, I will kind of promote the game. I feel like Riders Republic is a passion project, and we need more of it, honestly. So yeah, every week I'm going to try to do more, cleaning up these particular topics. I would have liked to get into the topic